maybe it's a little quieter up here. Looked pretty wild down there. Lots of Georgia Tech fans. Excitement about this matchup. The number 5 Clemson Tigers on the road to take on the Yellow Jackets of Georgia Tech. And to be fair, a lot of orange in this stands as well here tonight. Clemson fans have showed up in big numbers. You're watching the ACC on ESPN, and a good matchup here on a beautiful Thursday night in Atlanta. Hi, everybody. Dave Fleming alongside Jesse Palmer. We do expect a good one, even though Clemson comes in as the 5th-ranked team in the country. They're undefeated, top 5 team. That doesn't necessarily mean everything has just gone great this year. And I think a little pressure has built on their offense in general and their quarterback in particular.
Yeah, I think that's really been a big storyline in college football early this year around the country. What's wrong with the Clemson offense? They put up 40 points against Alabama in last year's national championship game. Their numbers as an offense are down right now. The numbers of Deshaun Watson are down as well. So, of course, everyone wants to point the finger at the quarterback. But when I've watched Deshaun Watson through these first 3 games, I think he's fine. He's played one bad quarter of football in the 3rd quarter against Troy. Looked like he was pressing a little bit, looking for the big play, missed some open receivers, turned the ball over. Aside from that, I think he's played really well. This offense has way bigger issues, though, surrounding Deshaun Watson right now. Their offensive line is not run blocking anywhere near good enough. They're not physical enough. They don't have the balance they want on offense. And there have been way too many drops at wide receiver and tight end. Deshaun Watson's numbers should look way better than they are. But you kind of got the feeling, talking to Dabo Swinney and the coaching staff this week, they feel like the offense is getting ready to turn the page. We're going to find out a lot about this Clemson offense and where they're at tonight. So I think this is a good challenge playing the Yellow Jackets here on the road.
Yeah, I do too. It's a big game for Clemson to get things right and to get out of here with a win. They've lost 5 in a row here in Atlanta against Georgia Tech, and they need a good performance from number 4. Their quarterback, Deshaun Watson, getting ready to go. We've got kickoff from Atlanta coming up in just a couple minutes. First, though, let's take a peek inside Nissan's Heisman House.
Welcome to the Nissan pregame rush. Nissan, premier partner of the Heisman Trophy.
Well, Clemson's got their own Heisman candidate, Deshaun Watson. All of the Clemson Tigers, this is a tradition under their head coach, Dabo Swinney. They've done it every game. The chip in the all-in bucket as they take the field home and away. And at Georgia Tech, they've got their own pregame tradition as the Yellow Jackets took the field. The Ramblin' Wreck leads the way on this Thursday night in Atlanta. The Yellow Jackets, they have won 5 games in a row in this stadium against Clemson. And, Jesse, the Tigers have had a lot of good teams in that stretch. So these have been mostly upsets, wins. This has not been a fun place for Clemson to visit.
No, and I think the biggest issue really for anybody that plays Georgia Tech defensively is trying to stop this option attack on offense. It's such a foreign scheme in today's era of college football. It's very hard to do it on a short week. This defense tonight for Clemson has their work cut out for them, but they all understand how hard it's been to win here, and that's why Dabo Swinney had his defense practicing against the option back in spring football during fall camp. He understands how big of a game this is tonight.
Well, this has been the Nissan pregame rush, and now we get ready for kickoff. Georgia Tech won the toss, and they have deferred, so Clemson's going to get the ball first, and it'll be at least a few minutes before they have to defend that triple option. Dabo Swinney has done such a great job with this program, but after coming up just short last year, major expectations with that guy back here for 2016, and so far, it just hasn't been quite as easy as everybody expected. And so a big test tonight here against a team that's had their number in a place that has not been friendly to them. Harrison Butker kicks it deep and very deep through the end zone for a touchback. So Deshaun Watson and Clemson will take the field.
I think Deshaun Watson is the total package of quarterback. He's a very accurate passer at all 3 levels of the field, where I think he's very special as a deep ball thrower. And he's missed a couple deep balls early this year. Can do better in that tonight. And he's like having an extra running back in the backfield. Tremendous quicks. He's got speed. Ran for over 1,000 yards a year ago. He's going to need to use those legs tonight.
And it's a big game for him for lots of reasons. This is his home state. We're only about 30 miles from where he grew up, went to high school. He's got friends, he's got family, he's got high school teammates here to watch him. Last time he was on this field, the last Clemson regular season loss and the game in which he tore his knee up. A handoff on first down and a nice gain for that beleaguered Clemson ground attack.
This is a really big deal for this Clemson offense. This O-line has to fire off. They've got to be physical and establish the run game. That's probably been, to me, the most disappointing part of this offense this year early.
They've got Wayne Gallman back, who had a tremendous year last year. Watson pressure, throws the screen to the tight end, and stumbling his way toward that first down mark, but stopped short Jordan Leggett. Nice tackle by the nickelback Lawrence Austin.
Another opportunity right here in a 3rd and short scenario to find out for Dabo Swinney about this offensive line. They're lining up in an empty look. Got a back beside him now. Wayne Gallman. This should be a downhill look, an opportunity to run.
3rd down. Watson throws. It's caught for a first down, and that's their big play receiver. They got a few of them, but big number 7, Mike Williams, with the first down
catch. And certainly, I think that Georgia Tech's secondary is aware of the creatures lurking on the outside. You got big Mike Williams, is one of the best deep threats in college football, and you see the respect that Steph Durham at corner is giving him on 3rd and short, giving him that much cushion.
They do go quick tempo. Another carry for Gallman without a lot of running room. He got a hard hit right at the line of scrimmage. Maybe gained a yard.
Yeah, it was Lawrence Austin at safety coming in and getting a big stick. Here you go, Clemson trying to get outside, but a nice job setting the edge was Keyshawn Freeman at defensive end, which forced Gallman to go back inside.
2nd and 9, just underway. First possession of the game, and an option look, but a pitch on an end around, and that's Ray McLeod, who's got great speed and some power too into Georgia Tech territory.
He's a dynamic playmaker, and they want to get him the ball in space. You're going to see jet sweeps. He'll line up at running back, and here you go with a little flip reverse from Deshaun Watson. Fast flow by Georgia Tech defensively. Not enough white jerseys there to make the stop before the first down.
McLeod has taken a big step forward this year, and they do want to get him the ball. Gallman again in the backfield. Deshaun Watson on first down, throws middle. He's got his tight end again, caught for another Clemson first down. Well, the Tigers, like we said, they're 3-0. They're still a top 5 team. They started the year number 2 in the country. Wins against Auburn, Troy, South Carolina State. Look, you go on the road and you beat Auburn in Auburn. It's a good win. It just hasn't looked quite the same so far. And now, 1st and 10 again. Gallman gets another carry with some room up the middle. Breaking tackles inside the 25, down close to the 21.
Well, and I think in fairness, Auburn's a better defense than I think a lot of people thought they were going to be. So they put up 19 points early. Everybody thought the sky was falling. That wasn't as bad. Troy with 13 points heading into the 4th quarter, I think was alarming to everybody. But they picked it back up against South Carolina State, against inferior competition. I think that's why right now, a good-looking early drive here. This offense looks like they're playing with confidence.
Plenty of time on the play clock. McLeod will come in motion. They're going to pitch it to him again, this time running left with a first down and more. Inside the 10, pushed out of bounds inside the 5. It'll be 1st and goal.
And they got a great kick-out block by Wayne Gallman out of the backfield on the safety A.J. Gray. You see number 9 coming into your screen. There's the block. That allows Ray McLeod to turn it up. Now, this is an area of the field near the 5-yard line. You have to be aware of Deshaun Watson's running ability.
1st and goal. Clemson on the move. He's going to throw a fade to the end zone, and a jump ball caught by Williams. Touchdown. And what a start, Jesse, for this Clemson offense.
That's about as good as you could hope for, I think, both running and throwing the ball. And Mike Williams at 6'3", 225 pounds, just has a tremendous catch radius. It's a nice job of getting air under the ball by Deshaun Watson, allowing his receiver to locate the football. And a cornerback there, number 17, Lance Austin, just never got his head turned around. He had no shot against Mike Williams.
That's hard to defend. Greg Hugel will line up for the point after. 9-play, 75-yard drive, touchdown, and then the extra point is up and good. Clemson used all of its weapons on that first drive, and they got it in the end zone. Their big play wide receiver, Mike Williams, one of the best in the country. Tigers have a 7-0 lead. Dave Fleming, Jesse Palmer, Laura Rutledge on this beautiful Atlanta Thursday night, and a beautiful start for the Clemson Tigers. 7-0, go straight down the field, get the ball first into the end zone. That connection, Deshaun Watson to Mike Williams. So now the Yellow Jackets will get the ball first. Hugo kicks off to J.J. Green, who is back deep to receive. That one is well through the end zone for a touchback. So Georgia Tech will take over and have the ball for the first time with their senior quarterback Justin Thomas leading the way.
And I really think he's the perfect fit for Paul Johnson's spread option attack. He's an outstanding athlete. He's very quick. He's a very good runner. He's actually leading them in rushing right now, but he's got a lot of experience. You mentioned it. This is his 30th consecutive start. He does a good job with the decision making in the option reads, and I think he's the best passer Paul Johnson has had as well. So he's really a dual threat, and I think he gives Georgia Tech a chance against what is a very fast and athletic Clemson defense.
I think Coach Johnson agrees with you. Of all the great teams he's had at Georgia Southern, Navy, and now Georgia Tech running that offense, Thomas the best passer of the bunch, and right away a tackle in the backfield. Christian Wilkins just came straight through to blow that play up.
Christian Wilkins at 6'4", 310 pounds, has tremendous quickness. This is him. He's just going to crash. Taking the dive, Justin Thomas doesn't hand it off, so he says, you know what then, if you're not going to give it, I'm just going to tackle you. That's a very interesting dynamic, having that big an athlete with his quicks playing defensive end. He was a defensive tackle a year ago, but because of some injuries early this year, they've had to move him outside.
They were trying to block him with the true freshman, as they call it, B-back, and that did not work. Now on the option, Thomas keeps. Got hit and got close to the original line of scrimmage. Dorian O'Daniel with the tackle. It'll be 3rd and long. Well, the Yellow Jackets, they feel like they are a much improved team this year. They did not have a good year last year. They've already matched their win total from 2015 and wins against 2 big conference teams, Boston College and Vanderbilt. But those offenses in particular, Jesse, a much different thing than what they're facing tonight.
Yeah, and of course Clemson scoring on their first drive puts a lot of pressure now on Georgia Tech to have to respond, and this is not where Georgia Tech wants to live. 3rd and long scenarios, passing situations.
And a false start by their left guard. Will Bryan moved, so 3rd and longer now.
False start, offense, number 70, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
And in these situations all night now, you see Paul Johnson getting ready to make a substitution with a brand new play. These obvious passing downs, Clemson's defense wants to keep Justin Thomas contained in the pocket. He's only 5'11", maybe. Doesn't see great. He can do a lot of damage if he scrambles around and gets outside. So a big key for this Tiger defense, trying to bottle up and fence in Justin Thomas on these obvious passing downs.
3rd and 16 right away. Clemson has been good with their 3rd down defense early in this season. Thomas back to pass. Rolling out under pressure, gets away initially, and then just throws it away. Wow, took a hit at the end of it as well.
Yeah. Right now, Georgia Tech is having issues blocking Christian Wilkins. And that time, Carlos Watkins, big number 94, he got in on the party as well and did a nice job cutting Justin Thomas off on the scramble, forcing him to pull up and throw that away. But this is probably as good a start as you could have hoped for if you're Dabo Swinney.
Yeah, maybe other than the injury on that play. Jalen Williams is down for Clemson, so while they look at him, we'll step aside. Clemson with the early 7-0 lead.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Nissan, premier partner of the Heisman Trophy, and Chick-fil-A. We didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich.
Well, it's kind of a student tradition here in Atlanta on this beautiful Georgia Tech campus. They call themselves the Gold Fellas, and they love body paint. They're into that here. And excited about this game. I think Georgia Tech fans, with the 3-0 start, the history of upsets on Thursday night in this stadium, the history they've had recently against Clemson here, I think Georgia Tech fans really feeling like an upset was a distinct possibility. So far, has not started well for them. Ray McLeod breaks a tackle. McLeod to midfield. Now the ball comes out. A Clemson player on special teams recovered the ball. So that's not going to be a turnover. I do think they ruled it as the ball coming out
Yeah, it was Lamont Simmons, number 6 from Georgia Tech, that got the hit on. He put his right hand in on the football, and there were a bunch of Georgia Tech players just kind of hanging around beside this. It's a nice job there by Chad Smith of Clemson. Looked like he was the one that kind of fell on it. That could have been awful and given Georgia Tech so much momentum after a slow start.
Because I think Clemson's feeling like they can step on it here early with the way things went on both sides of the ball. With the great field position. Gallman, a fake. Watson keeps. Watson straight ahead running inside the 40. Now let's go down on the field to Laura Rutledge.
Dave, exactly what you just said. Dabo Swinney going over to Deshaun Watson and telling him, let's not let up, keep the pedal to the metal. Also going to the Clemson O-line and saying, this is what I like, pointing to a clean Deshaun Watson jersey.
All quarterbacks like that, Laura.
I got a little dirty on that last run. Watson with a good pocket, now going deep, right sideline, incomplete. Intended for Artavis Scott. Lawrence Austin had good coverage.
We've seen early in this game Clemson have some success running the football. It's been with Wayne Gallman. They've gone jet sweeps to Ray McLeod and Deshaun Watson on that last zone read. Running the ball well on early down, setting up third and manageable, where offensive coordinators Jeff Scott and Tony Elliott have the entire playbook at their disposal.
And who knows, if they don't get it, it could be 4-down territory this side of the field. 3rd and 3. Watson keeps. Watson has big room and a first down and more. Knocked down inside the 30. He is so good at that.
Yeah, Georgia Tech tried to blitz up the middle, but center Jay Guillermo and Tyrone Crowder, their right guard, just opening up the seas for Deshaun Watson to run through. We haven't seen Deshaun Watson have tons of success early this year with his legs, but he's looked really good here on this drive.
I mean, last year we saw that over and over again. A slant to Williams, caught for a gain on first down. Only Greg Ward Jr. of Houston last year had more 3rd down runs for a first down than Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, well, and it speaks volumes then to what that can do to your offense and your offensive output when you can stay on the field using your legs on critical situations. Watson will do it on designed runs and in scrambles.
They're going to option it and pitch it out to Adam Choice, who got knocked out of bounds short of the first down. A.J. Gray came up from his safety spot.
And they're running it between the tackles. They're running it outside of the tackle box. They're getting different guys involved and really keeping this Georgia Tech defense on its heels guessing. Georgia Tech's going to have to be more physical up front at the point of attack to slow this rushing game down.
Ted Roof, he knows he's the defensive coordinator, longtime defensive coach, and a good one in college football. He's got his hands full tonight. Leggett, the tight end, came in motion. Watson will throw, and it is caught, and that is Leggett for a first down.
This is good news. They're getting Jordan Leggett going. You know, he'd only had 1 catch coming into tonight's game, and he's a big-time athlete. 6'5", 260 pounds, can run, great hands. He's a big weapon in the red zone. Already 3 catches in this game early for Leggett.
Yeah, 1 catch all year, as you mentioned. There's another nice run, this time Adam Choice. The guy you could argue is the best pass-catching tight end in all of college football. And I think deliberately they're trying to get him going tonight.
And so right now, you're Georgia Tech, you're down here in the red zone again, and you want to load the box to stop the run. But if you do that, now you're leaving one-on-one opportunities on Mike Williams at the top of the screen. You got Leggett in the slot, but right here that's something I know Deshaun Watson likes to see.
A good block from the running back, and another ball to the end zone. Williams, no, incomplete. He caught it, but apparently was out of bounds.
Yeah, I think it was his left foot that went out of bounds. He didn't drag it. He kind of picked it up. Watch the left foot. It's in the air, yeah, and it comes down out of bounds. Just had to be a little bit more mindful of where that boundary was, and that's a good break for Georgia Tech defensively. They need a hold here to force a field goal and try and stop the bleeding.
Because I think that was another good delivery from Deshaun Watson.
It was, yeah, right on the money. Can't throw it better.
3rd and 5, 9th play of the drive. They'll go back toward Williams. Incomplete, no flag. Williams was looking for one. Step Durham with the coverage.
Yeah, good coverage that time by Step Durham. Only 5'11", 194 pounds, giving up a lot of size here, and kind of like what looked like it started like a slant, ended up being kind of an inside go route. But you can see right now when Deshaun Watson sees one-on-one opportunities outside, he's going to take them. These Georgia Tech corners, when they're on those islands, they're going to have to make big play after big play. stay in this one.
Well, Hugo, you saw that number. He has been money from inside 40 yards. A very reliable field goal kicker. 27-yard attempt. It is up, and it is no good. So much for that, and that's a boost for the Yellow Jackets.
No matter how you get it, you need to swing momentum, and there was a near touchdown pass to Mike Williams that was out of bounds, and now you get a missed field goal. Capture that momentum here on this next offensive drive. That'll be big for Georgia Tech.
Did the plant foot slip a little? Some loose turf? Whatever caused it. Field goal, no good. Georgia Tech gets the ball back. All right, what a great day of college football Saturday on ABC. First from Ann Arbor, number 4 Michigan hosts Penn State in a Big Ten matchup. And then out of the Pac-12, UCLA at the Rose Bowl against number 7 Stanford. That at 8 Eastern, both games on ABC. Also streaming live on the ESPN app. Watch ESPN. Georgia Tech got a break, a missed short field goal. Now they're going to throw on first down the field, incomplete.
This is going to be a big key for Georgia Tech offensively in this game. They don't throw it very often, but because of the scheme they run, that leaves their receivers oftentimes on one-on-one islands. And when they do throw it, they've got to come up with some of these big plays. It's something they did very well 2 years ago when they beat Clemson here at Bobby Dodd Stadium. Of course, the last time the Clemson Tigers lost a regular season game.
And I think Paul Johnson, you could tell by his reaction, he thought there was a play to be made there. A little frustrated with the way his offense has started. Mills, that fullback, B-back, right behind Thomas, and they will fake it to him. Option play, and just nowhere to go. Thomas took a big hit. Cleveland Farrell's been everywhere.
Yeah, it's so important stopping this option that the defensive line, particularly in the inside, dominate. And watch right here, it's Christian Wilkins coming in, taking away the dive. And nice job by Dorian O'Daniel at linebacker number 6, getting outside and playing his assignment. That time the dive man, the quarterback, and the pitch man all accounted for, and Thomas took a huge hit.
Well, it's a good point because you got to play your assignments, then let the big guy come and clean it up. And they did that, 3rd and 10. Thomas back to pass again, pressured again, going down. But right now, this is a mismatch. Number 94, Carlos Watkins led the way.
Well, and it's a good dial-up by Brent Venables, bringing the corner blitz with Cordrea Tankersley. It's going to be coming this way, and then inside you got Carlo Watkins, 94. It just gets too much pressure as well. Right now, up front, Georgia Tech is not handling Clemson's D-line. By Clemson stopping them on 1st and 2nd down, setting up these obvious passing situations. See Brent Venables there, defensive coordinator for Clemson, easily one of the most intense coaches on game day we see.
Not good enough. They only lost 5 yards on that drive. A high punt, fair catch signal, McLeod, and he makes it just short of midfield. Clemson will get the ball back. More college football on Saturday in the SEC. This is a big game on both sides. LSU visits Auburn, where the Tigers have not won a conference home game since 2014. And then also in the SEC, a good one from Dallas, Arkansas and Texas A&M at 9 Eastern, both on ESPN.
Yeah, looking at LSU, it just seems like Purdue transfer Danny Etling has just kind of stabilized that offense. He's been sound at the quarterback position. Last week, I thought he looked good against Mississippi State. Good on 3rd down, didn't turn it over. They were able to get Leonard Fournette going after his injury.
Yeah,
bit of a different looking offense.
They've fallen out of the top 10. Our college football rankings brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. But the pieces are there, Jesse, for if they get even solid quarterback play for LSU to climb back up the ladder.
Well, we've been saying that for 3 years. They're a quarterback away from a playoff or shot at a national championship.
Watson with Gallman alongside. They'll give it to their tailback, Wayne Gallman, who gets stuffed. Enough power to surge ahead for a gain of a yard or so. Rod Rook Chudgon with the tackle and back down to the field, and Laura Rutledge.
Dave, Georgia Tech defensive coordinator Ted Roop telling his defense, we have to stay committed to where we line up. Once they line up, he wants them to stay where they are and play hard. He said we can't be in between alignments.
Just one of several keys playing this ultra-talented Clemson offense. 2nd and long with a little pass rush and a hit as he threw. Is that complete? It is. Caught by Cornell Powell, the true freshman, for a 1st down.
Yeah, a lot of these young true freshmen are getting an opportunity to play because of the injury to their receiver Hunter Renfro, who broke a bone in his hand. It's a nice job getting down to the ground and securing a tough ball.
Good catch, 1st and 10, back into Georgia Tech territory. Hand off Gallman, trying to pick his way forward. And Georgia Tech, at least on the run side of things, has looked like on defense they are starting to settle in.
And they're going to have to do that. Again, they cannot afford to put a safety in the box and allow Deshaun Watson to start picking them apart, throwing to the outside. So the emphasis has to be on these guys up front. Low pad level, disengage from blocks and make plays.
2nd down, play fake. Watson taking a shot down the sideline. Williams incomplete. And there was contact, but no penalty flag.
Yeah, there was a lot of contact. And Lance Austin, number 17, again, he gave up the fade touchdown earlier. He didn't do a good job getting his head turned around. And oftentimes referees are looking for this. See, there's a grab on the right arm there. And what I thought was a push early, really when you watch it in slow-mo, it really wasn't. I think that's a good no call by the referees there.
I'm with you. Not a lot of experience for Georgia Tech in the secondary. 3rd and 9. And it has gotten louder. Play clock down to 5. Down to 2, they get the play snapped. Watson rolling right, throws on the move. He's got his man McLeod for a 1st down. Breaking tackles inside the 30.
Deshaun Watson, I think, is outstanding throwing on the run, whether it be to his right or his left. And you mentioned earlier about Ray McLeod, Dave. I think he's their most improved wide receiver. A year ago, he was making a lot of plays and jet sweeps and handoffs. This year, he's running routes so much cleaner and crisper, getting himself open.
So another 3rd down conversion. The fake pitch, they gave it to McLeod coming from the right side for a gain of 3.
That's Corey Griffin, number 14, who came up and laid a lick. And he's really an excellent run supporter in the secondary of this defense. It's an inexperienced bunch. They lost 4 starters from a year ago, but they've got their hands full tonight in run support and obviously in coverage.
Tight end Williams went in motion. Rolling right, Watson looking downfield. He's got a man wide open, caught! And out of bounds, just short. Travion Thompson, the sophomore. Clemson fans thought he was in, but stopped at the 1.
And it was a coverage bust by Georgia Tech. They kind of lined up in a bit of a flexed bunch formation, and Thompson was just in the slot. He ran a simple smash route or a corner route.
And he did step out of bounds. Yep. The ball was not quite at the goal line, but it's 1st and goal. Gallman takes the handoff. Gallman, end zone touchdown.
I think you have to give Clemson's defense a lot of credit so far because they've forced 2 3-and-outs. They've actually forced Georgia Tech to lose yards, punt the ball, and give Deshaun Watson and this offense the ball back literally at midfield. And it's made this a lot easier of the process.
2 times in a row. The last time they had it, they just missed the short field goal. But you're right about that field position, and then the offense taking advantage. 8 plays, 62 yards. Gallman for the touchdown. And Hugo, I mean, we saw him miss the short field goal. He kind of chunked it. He has had a problem with PATs. This one is perfect. No problem there. And Paul Johnson knows he's got his hands full tonight.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Right now, the offense firing on all cylinders, running and throwing the football. Deshaun Watson looks like he's in a good rhythm. Clemson up early, 14-0.
Well, we were kind of wondering, would tonight be the night when Clemson looks like Clemson? So far, we have our answer.
Yeah, this looks like what we saw last year, certainly late last year. And Deshaun Watson's had time. I really think the biggest improvement has been the offensive line early. They've been giving him time throwing the ball. They've looked good firing off the ball, opening up holes for Wayne Gallman and these other runners. It's been impressive so far.
Georgia Tech will get the ball for the 3rd time now. A low kickoff, and it goes out of bounds. So that's a mistake that will help the Yellow Jackets. They need all the help they can get because the Clemson defense so far, Jesse's been overwhelming.
Yeah, they've been playing good assignment football, but really up front I think is where they've been most disruptive. And Christian Wilkins, Carlos Watkins, those guys are having their ways, but you're seeing the speed of Clemson's defense running sideline to sideline. They've been able to force 3rd and long situations, and that's when this front, they can pin their ears back, get into the backfield. It's been about as good as a start as you could hope for, and Paul Johnson, the play caller for Georgia Tech's offense, he's going to have to make some adjustments.
Well, last year, and Coach Johnson told us he thought it was the worst performance he could remember of any of his teams last year against Clemson. They could not move the ball. He was confident that things would be different tonight, but they've run 6 plays. Only one of them has even gained any positive yardage, and they have a total of -8 yards of offense here in the first quarter. Obviously, that needs to improve. Marcus Marshall gets the carry straight ahead, and there's a positive gain. Only 3 yards, but it's something.
Well, the issue with stopping the option is that it's such a foreign scheme today in the modern landscape of college football, where decades and decades ago it was more the norm. But with the dive and the quarterback run and the pitch, the ball can really be 3 places at once. And if you're not playing sound assignment football on defense, one guy's out of place, they can hit the home run. So there's a lot of football to go here. Paul Johnson, who's been coaching this offense for 32 years, excellent at making adjustments. That's what Georgia Tech's going to have to do.
And you mentioned the 3 pillars of the triple option. Another dive play. That's sort of always option number 1. Scott Pagano was there to make a tackle. The quarterback keeper in the pitch.
That's the key. You have to stop the dive first. If you don't stop the dive, they'll keep handing it off for 3, 4, and 5-yard gains, and you die a slow death. This is a scheme, obviously, that has worked extremely well for Paul Johnson. As you see, he lead the FBS in rushing yards since 2008. Here we go, Dave. Another 3rd and long situation for the Yellow Jackets.
Part of the game plan for Georgia Tech is to stay on the field, tire out those big guys up front. And they just have not been able to do that here in this first quarter. Thomas back to pass. This time he does have time. He throws and incomplete. Knocked away. Here comes a penalty flag. Go behind the play. Van Smith, the safety, intended for Quay Searcy.
Yeah, it looked like Van Smith just got there a split second too early.
Pass interference. Defense. Number 23. 15-yard penalty. First down.
I think that's the right call. I mean, Justin Thomas had Searcy wide open on the corner route. He kind of didn't lead him enough to the outside, which forced Searcy to slow down. And Smith just ran into him a split second early, got a hand on it, but there was body contact before.
Now, that was real close to being a great play, a perfect play.
No doubt.
He was not happy that the flag came in. 15-yard penalty. That's the first down of the game for Tech. Marshall, once again, that fullback. They're going to pitch it left side and looked like there was a hole. It closed up quickly.
Dorian O'Daniel, number 6 right now, is doing a phenomenal job out on the perimeter, be it containing quarterbacks or containing the pitch man. And it's so critical with all the different cut blocks that Georgia Tech likes to do. You got to be able to stay on your feet. You got to be able to disengage from receivers that are trying to crack back you. It's just a nightmare. But here tonight early, he's showing you his athleticism.
Well, I wouldn't go with the Krispy Kreme call on this defensive play personally.
But it's tasty. It's something tasty.
2nd and 8. Under center. Hand off. No, a pitch play. Left side and well defended again. This time Van Smith with a clean tackle and hit. I take it back. The donut defense worked.
Yeah, you know that, dude. I mean, there's few things in life that are a sure thing. Krispy Kremes deliver every time. You dial that up as much as you want. We got another 3rd and long scenario now. Yeah, you got to think another big play needed here by this Georgia Tech offense. Stay alive.
So the first quarter comes to an end at Clemson. It could hardly have gone better for the number 5 ranked Tigers and the Georgia native Deshaun Watson. He and Clemson take a 14-0 lead into quarter number 2. It's time for our Aflac trivia question. And it's a good question. Paul Johnson, 171 career wins, 5th most among active FBS head coaches. Who is at the top of that list? Active wins among FBS head coaches. It's good company, Paul Johnson, in that top 5. Start of the second quarter, Georgia Tech across midfield, but 3rd and long. Pressure to screen set up to Marshall, who sort of stumbled, and he's going to be caught from behind. You can't slow down against the speed of the Clemson defense. Carlos Watkins, Ben Boulware were both there.
No, and I love the play call by Paul Johnson because he's expecting Clemson to just fly upfield, and that screen to the running back's a bit of a new wrinkle in this offense this year, but just a better job and effort by Carlos Watkins, who actually rushed past the quarterback, fell down, was able to get back on his feet, come back and make a play. Benefit, at least for Georgia Tech, at least they were able to move the ball a little bit, in large part because of that pass interference call. This hopefully won't set up Clemson in great field possession like they've been throughout the entire first quarter.
Because penalty yards don't count as total offense, they still had negative yardage for the game. End-over-end punt, and a pretty good one inside the 10, inside the 5, down and around the 2. So that was good execution. Simmons was there to catch that punt. All right, we gave you enough time to think about it. Our Aflac trivia question. Aflac! 171 wins for Paul Johnson. 5th most among active FBS head coaches. Number 1, Brian Kelly.
Well, people forget, Central Michigan and Cincinnati and all the wins he racked up there.
Yes, and there weren't. I think number 2 was probably the top guess. Bill Snyder, of course, who's done such a tremendous job in Manhattan, Kansas. Bob Stoops and Paul Johnson. Good company.
Yeah. Georgia Southern and Navy on this triple option of lots of success.
Gallman, the tailback, in the end zone. They go from the shotgun. Gallman maybe got a yard, maybe not.
There's an example of Georgia Tech selling out a little bit. They dropped their safety, Corey Griffin, number 14 again, into the box. And this is that pick your poison dilemma we talked about. It's good to have extra bodies to stop the run if you're willing to risk potential disaster on the outside at receiver.
Well, I do think they have to take some chances. Another handoff, and again, not much running room. Gallman out to the 4. Grant Mitchell, the middle linebacker, in on the tackle.
Yeah, and here's where I think if you're Georgia Tech, you need someone to win up front on the defensive line in a one-on-one scenario. They have not been a great pass rushing defense early this season.
3rd and 8. Play fake. Here comes a rush into the end zone. That ball incomplete, knocked away. Intended for Scott, but a good play at cornerback from Lamont Simmons.
It started inside. Number 91, Patrick Gamble. He was the guy that got the rush and got in the face of Deshaun Watson. And a nice play by Lamont Simmons. He's big. He's long at 6'2", 200 pounds. He's able to get the long arm out extended in front of Artavis Scott. That's a great stand by this Georgia Tech defense.
Now they force Sandy Teasdall and the punt team pinned up against the back end of the end zone. Brad Stewart is standing in Clemson territory ready for this punt. No pressure, but not a real great punt. It's going to bounce though. Stewart couldn't get up there, and that cost Georgia Tech some field position. The end result is a good one for Clemson. So the Yellow Jackets get the ball back. The green apple helmet decals that you might be noticing on the helmets here tonight, part of the Extra Yard for Teachers initiative created by the College Football Playoff Foundation. ESPN proud to support college football's week-long salute to teachers in their local communities throughout the country. To learn more about how Extra Yard for Teachers is honoring, celebrating, and inspiring these educators today, visit www.cfb-foundation.org. Kind of like your teachers back in Ontario.
A lot of French teachers growing up.
The bilingual elementary education of Jesse Palmer. Thomas kept it and got a yard on 1st down.
Yeah, but just again, another example on that play of just sound assignments fundamentally from the Clemson Tigers. That time, 45, Chris Register doing a good job keeping Justin Thomas contained. This is an uphill battle right now for Georgia Tech. They're trying inside. They're trying to run outside. See if they can find a weakness or a chink in the armor of this Clemson front.
And it's not just tonight. I mean, this is a quarter plus tonight. Go back to last year. They could not move the ball on the ground against Clemson. Thomas hand off that B-back. There was a hole and close to the 1st down. Dedrick Mills.
Yeah, and a little bit different look up front. That time they pulled big number 70, Will Bryan, right here around this way to try to get a little bit of a lead and a little bit of a kick-out block on number 6, Dorian O'Daniel, who's really been everywhere. There's a little crease finally we've seen in this running game. This is a scenario 3rd and 1. Georgia Tech, if they don't get it here, they're going to go for it.
They're going for it.
Yeah.
Paul Johnson loves to go for it on 4th down. Mills, the fullback. They hand it to Mills, trying to push his way forward, and they did get it. That is the first down other than the penalty for Georgia Tech tonight.
And that time they ran behind their mountainous right guard, Shamir Devine, 71, 6'7", 370 pounds. These defensive tackles for Clemson, they've been disruptive tonight, but you feel like if Georgia Tech's going to have any success running the ball, they're going to need this guy to get some push. This is him right here. He just looks different than everybody else up there.
370. First down at the Clemson 40. Thomas, the fake, the pitch, and the defense right there. The hit in the backfield on Quay Searcy.
Well, and if you're going to stop these outside pitch plays, your pitch defender, that time Ryan Carter, 31, you've got to be aggressive. You're going to see a lead block to the right side. Number 31, the corner, coming out of your screen. Let's go ahead and run the play. Number 3 tries to get outside the A-back. It's Isaiah Willis. He's not able to get the block. You're going to have to execute better than that.
If you don't make that block in this offense, you don't beat Clemson. You got to get that block on. They lost 4 yards. Back to pass, pressured immediately, dumps it down, and they lost yardage there. Going backwards, Clinton Lynch, who's been a big player for them, but he had nowhere to go.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Thomas right now has no time when he's dropping back behind center, and he's got no time when they're trying to move the pocket and change the launch point. Seems like Brent Venables has been one step ahead, dialing up blitzes at the opportune moments, and there's just free rushers coming at the quarterback.
Well, you saw Paul Johnson send in J.J. Green. That's how they get the play calls in here at Georgia Tech. He is his own offensive coordinator. 3rd and 17. Not a lot of plays in this offense for 3rd and 17. We're going to get down to the 30. Thomas throws. That will be incomplete. Hit the turf.
Yeah, and those were the types of plays that Georgia Tech came up with 2 years ago when they won this game. That time, great coverage by Tankersley on the outside. Secondary forcing small windows, and that's very, very good field position wasted by Georgia Tech's offense.
They got 1 first down and then started going backwards again. Ray McLeod is at the 10. Ryan Rodwell did a great job last punt this part of the field. This time maybe not quite as perfect. Still though, just inside the 10. That's where Clemson will have the ball. We've been talking a lot about Deshaun Watson of the offense, but the Clemson defense has been tremendous against the triple option. Everywhere, no running room. 14-0. Look who's here tonight. Matt Kuchar, former Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket, wearing his bronze medal from the Summer Olympics. Very proud of it. Got a big ovation in front of the home fans. The Tour Championship in town over at East Lake. So Matt Kuchar decided to come to a football game. Deshaun Watson and Clemson, their offense back on the field. 2nd down and short. You think Kuchar ever takes the medal off? Does he wear it around the house?
The hardware? I don't know. I mean, that's kind of one of those that's hard to get.
It's hard to get.
I mean, you can win tournaments every year being on tour. It's just, the Olympic thing is once every 4 years.
Golf had been in the Olympics for, what, 100 years or maybe more. And Matt Kuchar got himself a medal. McLeod drops it. And Georgia Tech playing the ball like it might have been a backwards pass, but I think it was clearly forward. That should be an incompletion.
Yeah,
the officials haven't said that yet, though.
Well, Deshaun Watson threw this from about his own 13-yard line, and Ray McLeod dropped it at about the 15. So I think it's pretty clear that it was a forward pass.
Spotting it back, Jesse, so it moved the ball backwards.
We talked about drops being a big issue for this offense early this year. They had 12. They counted in their first 2 games. A drop there from Ray McLeod, and I guess they're going to take a look at this again. I don't think it's going to be very hard to tell.
Yeah, this one, Dabo Swinney was hot on the sideline. That is clearly a forward pass. That should just be incomplete. So they're going to take a look at it. We'll take a quick break while they do. 14-0 Clemson.
ESPN College Football Brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings, beer, sports, and Chevrolet. More 2016 J.D. Power Dependability Awards than any other brand.
Look how we got to the stadium here tonight. I will note we made Laura hang on from the outside. That probably wasn't all that polite.
She had the best seat. I mean, that's like riding in a Great Gatsby. A lot of airflow. Not a lot of leg room back there, though.
The Ramblin' Wreck now 3rd and short, and Watson on an option-style play will get the first down. They did overturn the call on the field. We thought it was pretty obvious, but hey, take a look, get it right. They did. It was a forward pass, not a fumble, a backwards pass. So it made it 3rd and short. That was a big difference as Watson gets the first down.
And we're seeing again Deshaun Watson more involved running the football early in this game than we've seen this year.
Swing pass, McLeod hangs on to this one. A nice cut upfield, breaks a tackle. McLeod close to the first down.
And in this offense, they love these run pass option plays where they have a running play called. It's going right here. But then if Deshaun Watson sees a look outside that he likes, he can spit the football out to his wide receiver where he feels he has a numbers advantage. Just a way to kind of stay ahead of the defense. And Deshaun Watson makes good decisions.
Yeah, it's a good point. And it's really an extension of their run game, just like that play is. Deion Kane with his first catch for a first down.
You've got a quarterback that's very, very smart in Deshaun Watson. And he's obviously a film junkie. He spends a lot of time throughout the week. I think that preparation shows up on game day. It's not just reading coverages, but it's in the zone read game, and it's the run pass options and understanding when to keep the football, when to give it. Gets this offense in and out of the right plays more often than not. It's impressive to watch.
From Gainesville, Georgia, just up the road from here in Atlanta. Big gain up the middle, Adam Choice. First down and more outside the 45 to the 48-yard line for 16.
There's an example of a good decision on the zone read. They're going to have Antonio Simmons, number 93. He's reading him outside. If he just slows down, and that's the signal to give it off to Adam Choice.
Look at the yardage difference between these two teams. Clemson has just dominated so far. Their lead is only 2 touchdowns, though. So they haven't quite put the game away. Watson keeps to midfield and avoids the hit by going out of bounds.
Yeah, really, they haven't been stopped yet. This offense from Clemson, and I think the good news is there's a lot of balance throwing and running it. Ted Roof, the D coordinator for Georgia Tech's got his hands full. There's another thing to consider, too. Clemson's already run 36 plays in this game because Georgia Tech's offense hasn't been able to stay on the field. See Clemson here with the late substitution. Their starting center, Jay Guillermo, has come out of the game.
He is running it a little more. We know that's a huge weapon. We saw it in the college football playoff last year. A little screenplay set up. Choice was a powerful runner into Georgia Tech territory. Well, tomorrow night on ESPN, you get a chance to see SMU and their head coach, Chad Morris. He was the offensive coordinator here, and it was fun to talk to him last year about the effort he put in. He identified Deshaun Watson when he was a freshman in high school and said, that's the kid we need to lead us to the next level. He spent 4 years, 4 years recruiting Deshaun Watson and got him. And look, Clemson had a great program. Deshaun Watson has changed the program. As good as they were, he gets close to a first down. Depend on the spot.
Well, I think the way their defense is playing, you absolutely go for this if you're Dabo Swinney. And it looks like that's what they're going to do.
The officials first, I think, are going to measure. I mean, they've had good. I mean, Taj Boyd was a great college quarterback, led Clemson to a lot of wins. But number 4 is a difference maker in a different way.
Yeah, I think there are probably a lot of coaches recruiting him that felt the same way with his skill set and what he's been able to do. And I think he showed us flashes of that his freshman year when he played sparingly and then got injured. It looks like Deshaun Watson got enough on that last short yardage run.
That's the 3rd time already in this game he's converted on 3rd down on the run game. He has already climbed up the record books. He's got all kinds of schools, single season records, single game records, career-wise in Clemson history. And he'll be moving up those charts as high as he already is. First down, Clemson. Gallman back in as the tailback. That pass is caught. Quick tackle, but a nice positive gain on first down.
It's another run pass option. That was supposed to be a run inside, but these Georgia Tech DBs are giving so much respect to Mike Williams that they're just playing so far off that it's kind of become pitch and catch right now between Watson and big number 7.
Now pressure, and Watson, for the first time, is going down. Patrick Gamble got there and got the sack.
And remember, Clemson has their backup center, Justin Falcinelli, in the game right now. And on this play, he gets confused. Patrick Gamble lined up right over top of him right here. He doesn't even try to block it. Looked like he maybe slid the wrong way, and that was just an easy path to the quarterback, which disrupted the timing.
3rd down and 9. Tech almost jumped. Already the 12th play of this drive.
Well, cat and mouse game. Deshaun Watson wanted to audible because there was an all-out blitz look. He kind of slowed down, and now Georgia Tech has gotten out of the blitz look. And the play clock's working down. Nice job by Georgia Tech changing up the look after Deshaun Watson was taking his time.
Clemson takes the timeout to avoid the penalty. 3rd down coming up when we come back. Partner of the college football playoff. Be on the lookout for Taco Bell student sections and passionate fans like those. Yeah, here in Atlanta all season long. 3rd and 9. And those Tech fans trying to help their defense get off the field. Gallman picks up the blitz. Watson goes deep, and it is incomplete. There was more contact there. Clemson wants the flag. It never came. Intended for Scott.
Yeah, definitely some hand fighting. Lawrence Austin, number 20 at safety. There's some kind of checking.
I mean, Scott grabbed it.
Yeah, he
the defender's face mask kind of pulled him down.
You got to give Georgia Tech's DBs credit because they've been competing. I mean, you know, Mike Williams caught that fade early. They had another close touchdown pass on a barely missed fade, but they have been in those press scenarios. They're running step for step with these guys competing. It has been physical.
I think you're right.
But I think the refs need to be, though, consistent, and I think they've done that so far.
Now Clemson trying to pin Georgia Tech deep. Fair catch signal and made by Brad Stewart inside the 10. Well, college football Saturday on ABC. We'll start with Penn State and number 4 Michigan in Ann Arbor. That's at 3:30. And then Saturday night football. Stanford goes down to the Rose Bowl. They have just dominated UCLA these last few years. 8 Eastern.
Yeah, we were there last year at the farm when Stanford took on UCLA, and Christian McCaffrey went off for 243 rushing yards. A little bit different, though, this year. UCLA's got Eddie Vanderdoes back in the lineup. He missed last year's game. It's a difference maker on that defense, but no doubt about it, Stanford, there's no mystery. They're running right at you.
No. And the Cardinal pushed around USC. We'll see if they can do it to the Bruins. A swing pass, and that is dropped and ruled incomplete. Way Cersei didn't play on, and was lucky that was a forward pass.
Yeah, that to me was way closer than what we saw a little bit ago with Deshaun Watson and Ray McLeod. And they may take another look at that.
Yeah, that was close. The other one I thought in real time was pretty clear. This one was not so clear.
Ruling on the field is incomplete pass. 2nd down. Please reset the play clock.
Yeah, it looks like Thomas throws it from about his 6, and from that angle to me, Dave, it looked like
I think it was
Cersei
backwards.
was at the 5. You know, looking at that, but
they get the play off, and Mills with a forward gain.
That's why you can't blow the play dead, though.
Yeah,
because even if they'd given Clemson possession, you have to give them the ball wherever the guy scooped it up. You know, that's why I think you just let the play live, and then you can go back and correct yourself after using replay if you were wrong.
Yeah, we didn't have a perfect look straight down the line, but I'm with you. I think Georgia Tech got a huge break there.
Here we are again, Dave. Another 3rd and long scenario. Georgia Tech's only shot throwing it right here is you got to move Justin Thomas outside. That's been hard to do.
Back to pass, pressured, throwing, incomplete. Nobody there.
You know, pressure affects every quarterback. Brent Venables fired up by the effort his defense is giving right now, and you Justin Thomas is kind of, he just kind of looked like he threw that one away, even though it looked like he may have had a back shoulder opportunity, and that's bad news right there for Georgia Tech. That's that big right guard, Shamir Devine, we talked about. They need him because he's their best chance of getting any movement against Clemson's D tackles in this game.
Looking at that right ankle or foot. So while they do that, we'll step aside. 4th and 6 for Tech, trailing 14-0. Well, big Shamir Devine on the sideline and being looked at that right ankle, foot, leg. Had to limp off the field. 4th down, deep in their own territory. Georgia Tech's going to punt the ball back to Clemson, trailing 14-0 with just under 4 minutes to go in the first half. Pressure on that punt. McLeod comes up, takes it to midfield. What a good move. He only got 5 yards, but great field position for Clemson. And we'll check into the studio with Adnan Berg.
All right, Dave, thank you very much. I want to hear more Jesse Palmer's thoughts on The Great Gatsby. I love Daisy Buchanan. Coming up in the Land Rover halftime report, though, a historic halftime pick'em. All the biggest names as Danny Cannell and Joey Galloway go head-to-head. Florida, Tennessee. Danny tells you why finally Tennessee ends the skid. Also Stanford, UCLA. Dave, I know you're all over the Cardinal. Back to you.
All over the Cardinal. We're trying to extend that. They won 8 games in a row against UCLA, I think.
And Adnan, I want you to know I make my old fashions the way they do in that movie when they use the ice chipper on the ice block. That's old school. You got to muddle some fruit.
So you're going with the movie. Here's a nice catch by McLeod in traffic inside the 25.
And we talked about his improvement as a wide receiver. You didn't see a lot of this a year ago, but what an impact he's had on this team early, not just on offense, but in the return game as well. Nice job climbing the ladder, just plucking that football out of the air.
That was 24 yards. Clemson first down. Not quite inside what we call the red zone, but definitely in scoring position. And the total yards, the first down numbers all look so lopsided. Clemson trying to make the score look a little more lopsided. Watson, a little shoulder fake. Now he's throwing toward the end zone again, incomplete. Led McLeod maybe just a little too far.
Yeah, and that's a miss by Deshaun Watson. You're right. He had Ray McLeod open. That was a double move. It was a slant and go. And I think you can just see the confidence that co-offensive coordinators Jeff Scott and Tony Elliott have in number 34 this year. Hunter Renfrow, again, out with that injury. It's giving him an opportunity to see the field more often. Guys like Mike Williams and Deion Kane and a lot of good receivers, that says a lot about how they feel about McLeod.
Watson goes short left to Williams with a blocker in front. Slips one tackle out of bounds. And I think just short of the first down.
It's nice having a tight end in Jordan Leggett who's not just a good pass catcher and not just good inline blocking, but you got a guy that's 260 pounds lined up at receiver, having to block DBs. Really helps out the screen game for Clemson throwing it. He's having a good night tonight.
He helped lead the way to a bigger gain. 2 tight ends in now on 3rd and 2. Watson designed quarterback keep, and he dove forward. I think he got there. Another first down run for Deshaun Watson.
And this is good news, obviously, for the Tigers. Remember, they had the ball first in this game, so an opportunity to tack on points here before going into the half. Try and seize as much momentum as they can. And it's not very loud tonight here at Bobby Dodd Stadium.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
I think the game has dictated that. Now a flag is thrown and Clemson moved.
False start. Offense. Number 63. 5-yard penalty. First down.
All right, let's go down to the field and Laura.
Dave, you mentioned the production of Jordan Leggett so far in this game. Deshaun Watson on the sideline has been telling him throughout the game, hey man, I'm going to keep going to you. We need to get more comfortable in game.
Well, he's too big of a weapon. He's too good of a player to not touch the football. And again, there's only one football. When you got guys like Mike Williams and Deion Kane and Wayne Gallman, Ray McLeod, Artavis Scott, you got to share it. But 16 needs his touches too.
Watson threw it to the defense, intercepted at the goal line, and then the ball comes out. And Georgia Tech pounces on it. Lance Austin with the interception, and there was just a miscommunication.
Yeah, we've seen this earlier this year, miscommunication between Deshaun Watson and Mike Williams. They threw an interception on a similar play against Troy. It's going back right after the interception. Mike Williams trying to make a tackle, and it was 14 Corey Griffin who actually knocked the ball out of Lance Austin's hands. But look right here, number 7 up top. He's running an out route. Deshaun Watson's throwing a curl.
All right, let's hear from the officials.
On the field is the pass was intercepted, returned into the field of play, fumbled back into the end zone, recovered by the defensive team, safety.
Wow.
And I thought so. I thought it was a possibility, and I think that's the right call. What a huge break for Clemson. Yeah, we got 2 points out of it.
Yeah, not how Georgia Tech designed this. This looks like it's going to be a turnover, an opportunity maybe to make Mike Williams miss. But the fumble, that's a good call. Out in the field of play, back into the end zone. The Georgia Tech recovers. Paul Johnson can't believe it.
It's been that kind of night. You make a good play, make an interception, and it costs you points. And they have to give it back to Clemson. So the safety, you put 2 points on the board and get the free kick.
Now,
back to Watson.
Yeah, and Clemson with their offense, the tempo they can go, and their ability to hit explosive plays. 2 minutes for them with 2 timeouts in their back pocket. That's an eternity.
Yeah, and I think for Georgia Tech, it's hard to blame Lance Austin, but if you just take a knee there and it's a touchback.
But I know what he's thinking, though. Yeah. He's like, hey, I made a pick out on the perimeter. If I make Mike Williams miss, I might have the boundary and an opportunity to take this to the house. And imagine how big of a play that is. You can't. I don't fault him for that. Obviously, bad ball security, not expecting to get hit by his own player. That's just an awful, awful break.
Yeah, I don't blame him either. But instead of an interception, ball back, a big swing, it's 2 points, and you give it right back to Clemson. So that free kick, pretty deep, taken by Scott, and he'll bring it out close to the 30-yard line. Well, look, Jesse, we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves because we still have some time to go in this game at Georgia Tech. I mean, we've seen their offense before, not built for comeback. But Louisville is looming for Clemson, and we all knew if they took care of business here tonight, that sets up what should be a monster matchup in Death Valley a week from Saturday.
And a great quarterback matchup, too. And I think at the start of this year, we would have been talking a lot more about Deshaun Watson, but after the way Lamar Jackson's played early this season, to me, he's been the best player in college football. He's just playing at a different athletic ability than everybody else.
So Clemson gets the ball back. That's a rare incompletion. They haven't had many of those. Ray McLeod couldn't quite catch it. And again, look, there's still a long way to go in this one, but that has a chance to be one of the biggest games in college football all year. We figure Louisville, they go on the road, but to Marshall, a team that's really struggled on defense, we figure Louisville will take care of business. Watson keeps it, kind of picking his way forward. Not a lot of running room out to the 33 to set up third down.
Yeah, nice job by P.J. Davis that time, linebacker, fighting off a block from the running back, disengaging and making a tackle now. Georgia Tech needs a stop. They have to stop the bleeding here. You know, one thing Georgia Tech needs to do is they need to steal a possession. They had a turnover on that last drive. It ended up being a debacle. They're going to have to be more opportunistic here as this game goes on.
Clemson 7 of 10 on third downs. And they're letting the clock move, not in a real hurry. Ball into the backfield. They snap it at 5. That quick hitter left side, McLeod again, another Clemson first down.
Yeah, and it's just too much cushion that these corners are giving these wide receivers. It's 3rd and long, and the cornerback number 17, Lance Austin, he's way off of Ray McLeod, and that's just pitch and catch. That's just too easy. And nice job knowing to get out of bounds and save those precious seconds, as many as you can.
Tech only has 2 first downs in the first half. McLeod and Clemson, they have 16 first downs.
They have twice as many first downs as Georgia Tech has yards.
Gallman's screen play set up nicely, using his blockers nicely into Georgia Tech territory.
That's one of the things right there I really like about Deshaun Watson is he knows the type of throw on every given play. If he's got a receiver wide open like he did 2 plays ago with Ray McLeod, where you're throwing to a running back like right there, you take a little something
Holding.
off it.
Offense, number 17, 10-yard penalty. Replay, first down.
So there was a penalty against Clemson.
Cornell Powell, the true freshman wide receiver, is way up here, working one-on-one, trying to get outside of Wayne Gallman. Generally, when receivers look behind them to find out where the ball is, they lose sight of where that defender is. That's generally when you sometimes see these holding penalties.
This will be the 51st offensive play for Clemson in the first half. That's 1st and 12. From the spot of the foul, they move it back 10 yards. Still with 2 timeouts, plenty of time to get into scoring position. Watson downfield, caught, and there is that true freshman Powell making up for the penalty perhaps. Another Clemson first down, and he gets out of bounds.
It's a pick your poison dilemma. You want to stay off because you want to lead. You want to keep the ball in front of you and not give up the explosive play. But when you do that, it's just too easy of a job for Deshaun Watson. These receivers are too open. You come up and press, now you're worried about the deep ball going over your head.
Clock stopped at 45 seconds. It rolls on the snap. Now over the middle. Nice catch. Mike Williams breaks a tackle inside the 20. Still on his feet to the 15 and down to the 13-yard line.
Yeah, well, there was a ball that Deshaun Watson had a lot of heat on. When you're throwing those in routes into zone coverage, you've got to put it on the receiver, and that ball had some velocity, and a nice job by Mike Williams showing off the catch radius and those long arms.
And Nick Saban in Alabama watching this game said, all right, we've seen that throw before.
No doubt.
First down, swing play, Gallman right side. Gallman lowers those shoulders inside the 5. Now they have the 2 timeouts, and they'll use one of them here.
Yeah, we talked about how quick this offense can scoot down the field, and you're seeing it here on this drive using all the different playmakers, and nice job by the offensive line here getting out in front. Oh, Jake Fruemorgan at right tackle helping spring a block. With all those timeouts in the back pocket, it's just so much time for this offense to operate. I mean, they can eat up yards in a hurry.
Well, you already mentioned they have more first downs than yards. They have more first downs nearly than Georgia Tech plays from scrimmage.
And so that speaks volumes about how well their offense is playing and volumes of Brent Venables and that Clemson defense and how lights out they've been as well.
18 seconds to go until halftime. Tonight after our game, join Stan and Neil, Sports Center at night. Full breakdown of this game, the NFL game, Texans and Patriots, all the NFL news, baseball highlights, everything else at SportsCenter at night after college football, after us, right here on ESPN.
Because Clemson still has 1 timeout in their back pocket, they can actually afford to run the ball here if they so choose to, burn that, and then take shots into the end zone.
First and goal, inside the 5. Watson, some pressure tried to come, but it was picked up, and the pass is incomplete. On the hands of Deion Kane. That had a chance to be a touchdown.
This has been Deion Kane's problem this year. He's had critical drops and some that should have been touchdowns. This is a perfect throw from Watson away from the defender. Deion Kane, I think, is too talented a receiver to let that go through his hands. You need to have better focus.
Sometimes you wonder, maybe put pressure on himself after what happened, sent home from the playoff at the end of last year, wasn't allowed to play. Now the drops start to pile up, and they will fake the handoff. Watson keeps and tackled right at the line of scrimmage. Big tackle by Victor Alexander. As Clemson has to use their final timeout. Now, do you trust your quarterback to take a play into the end zone, try to get the touchdown with 9 seconds to go? I think you do.
Absolutely, and I think if I was Jeff Scott or Tony Elliott, I'd be thinking about, a run-pass option potentially for Deshaun Watson out on the perimeter. Give him an idea. He's a good enough athlete to try and run it in, make a guy miss. Listen, you got a lot of tools, though, in your toolbox. You got a 6'3", 225-pound Mike Williams that can jump over someone and dunk on them. You got Jordan Leggett at tight end at 6'5", 260 that you can flex outside. They throw him fade routes down here as well. And I think if you're Ted Roof right now, you're not really sure what Clemson's going to come at you with, and that's the issue. But when you're this close down by your end, generally you've got to play tight man-to-man coverage.
Right, he read Dabo Swinney's lips, maybe. We don't have any timeouts. We don't have any timeouts. And just emphasizing that to his team. And if they do choose a run play, you got to get it in, because I don't think you could get the field goal team out there.
Yeah, the good news right now for Georgia Tech, they've got their biggest corner, Lamont Simmons, up here against Mike Williams one-on-one.
And I'd be surprised if the ball doesn't go in that direction, just based on what we've seen. Watson. And there was a flag. Somebody moved.
That's the right tackle. I think it was Jake Fruh-Morgan. Down here in that.
False start. Offense. Number 63. 5-yard penalty. Third down.
I was just saying a second ago, it didn't really seem like it was loud in here. That student section down here in the end zone for Georgia Tech, they really kind of picked it up. Made it louder. Yeah, that happens, by the way, with Dabo Swinney. Doesn't matter if you're a starter. You make mistakes like that, you come out of the game temporarily.
He pulled him out of the game. So the backup tackle, the true freshman, Sean Pollard, came in. 3rd and goal.
With more space now, Georgia Tech can play a zone coverage now. Don't have to play man-to-man. Make this more difficult on Deshaun Watson.
Watson looking end zone. Throws. He's got a man. His tight end caught. Jordan Leggett for the Clemson touchdown.
And that's Jordan Leggett, a tight end, playing wide receiver and showing off his skill sets. Just too big of a body. Deion Kane runs the hitch underneath. It attracts 2 defenders. 6'5", 260. Not a lot of guys. That reminds me of Jeremy Shockey, who I played with the New York Giants. Big, physical people that can move with that sort of agility. There'll be a lot of NFL teams interested in having that next year.
He kind of looks like that body type. So how about that? 10 plays in under 2 minutes with only 4 seconds left on the clock after the interception. Georgia Tech had the interception in the end zone, but bring it out, fumble it back in. It's a safety. You got to give the ball back. Would have been 14-0 with the ball. Instead, the extra point to make it 23-0. Up and good. I mean, the interception cost him 9 points.
No doubt about it.
That is tough to swallow. Well, here on Thursday night in Atlanta, full day of college football on Saturday with lots of good matchups, including 3 top 25 showdowns in the SEC. We got Michigan State, Wisconsin, Washington being tested for the first time on the road at Arizona. That'll be an interesting game.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, who they played so far? Rutgers, Idaho, Portland State, I think. And there's been a lot of hype around Washington entering this year on offense behind Jake Browning and some of those young skill players they have in that defense. But you're right, this will be, and this stretch coming up for Washington, going on the road at Arizona this week, but then we've got Stanford at home, then at Oregon. And then this one's going to be awesome. Yeah. Stanford, UCLA.
I'm with you. And I do think UCLA will do a better job against Christian McCaffrey.
Easier said than done, though, isn't it?
Easier said than done.
And all the different ways that they like to use him.
And Stanford used that. It's not quite the triple option, but they used that jumbo package against USC over and over again.
A year ago, they run that power play where they pull that backside guard. They play with 3 offensive linemen.
Well, they squib it here on the ground, and it's Georgia Tech falling on the ball. No time ticked off the clock there, so whether Georgia Tech just takes a knee or what, we'll see. 4 seconds to go here in the first half. Stanford UCLA from the Rose Bowl. I mean, it's a great historic rivalry in the Pac-12. But I mean, McCaffrey just looms over everything Stanford does, and those defensive coordinators that he faced. I mean, it's just a nightmare trying to get ready for him.
Yeah, I mean, whether it's lining up in the backfield, or you're playing him in the Wildcat, or you're giving him jet sweeps, the special teams coordinators have to worry about him in the return game as well. I think that's a great challenge for that defense to have to try and at least slow down the running game.
It does. It feels like he's due for a return.
Oh yeah,
isn't good news for UCLA. A handoff straight ahead, and the best play of the first half for Georgia Tech will be the final play of the first half. And it just did not go well for the Yellow Jackets. What a performance by Clemson. 23-0. That's the halftime lead. We'll hear from Coach Dabo Swinney with Laura in a moment. But first, the Land Rover halftime report. You're watching the ACC on ESPN from Atlanta. Georgia Tech hosting the 5th-ranked Tigers of Clemson. I think it's safe to say it was all Clemson in the first half. Deshaun Watson and company with a halftime lead. Dave Fleming, Jesse Palmer back here with you. And look, big picture-wise, Jesse, the question looming over this game as we got started was, what was wrong with the Clemson offense? Why wasn't it the offense we saw at the end of last season? And it looks a whole lot more like normal Clemson.
Yeah, this is
tonight.
probably the first time this year against FBS Power 5 competition this offense looked like what it did at the end of last year. I thought Clemson had done a great job tonight establishing the run game early, of getting different people involved. We saw Ray McLeod on a jet sweep, Deshaun Watson, that started forcing Georgia Tech to load the box to stop the run, and it opened up play-action passing opportunities or windows throwing the ball to the outside. The Clemson Tigers have already run 56 plays in the first half. They have tremendous balance. They've been outstanding on third down. They're just clicking on all cylinders.
22 total yards for Georgia Tech, and that was padded by that, 15-yard or so run at the end of the half. Georgia Tech was just totally shut down on offense. And the defense actually made, despite all those numbers, defense made a few big plays, but not nearly enough against the high-powered Tigers. J.J. Green will bring it out from the end zone with nowhere to go. Not a good decision. More poor field position for Georgia Tech, and let's go downstairs to Laura Rutledge.
Dave, Paul Johnson said, we're just getting manhandled on both lines of scrimmage. He said they're way too physical for us, so we have to block better. That was a big emphasis at halftime. And when asked about adjustments, he said, look, we just have to be more creative offensively. He thinks that could be the answer for what they're going to need to do in the second half.
Well, let's see. I mean, we know it is not an offense that is built to come from behind. This is not the spot where you want to be in with the triple option, but any kind of positive momentum.
Listen, it just takes one player for Clemson to get out of his alignment, not play his assignment, and it's a big one.
Flag thrown. They give it to the fullback, Mills. See who the penalty is against.
Offside. Defense. Number 42. Line up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty. First down.
So they'll take the penalty instead of the play. The 1st and 5. Devine back in for Georgia Tech, averaging almost 260 yards rushing per game tonight. 25.
Yeah, you just don't see this kind of defensive effort very often against this style of offense. You have to give Clemson's D-line a ton of credit.
The 1st and 5, Thomas under center. Again, the handoff to the fullback. Mills gets close. Stopped by Boulware, just short of a first down.
Yeah, he's going to have to probably touch the ball a little bit more. Dedrick Mills, a young true freshman, is, I think, going to be a special player down the road. He's a big guy at 5'10", 225 pounds. Someone that I think Paul Johnson thinks has an opportunity to do some good things. He runs low to the ground on those dive plays, has good vision, kind of gets his low pad level behind those linemen to earn those tough earned yards.
He scored the winning touchdown late against BC in the opener, scored 3 touchdowns last week against Vanderbilt. Got hit hard, but right at the mark. Dexter Lawrence.
True freshman meet true freshman. How good has Dexter Lawrence been early this year? I'd argue one of the most impactful true freshmen we've seen early this year at nose guard. Just sheds the center. He's able to use that athleticism. He's 6'5", 340. Turns around and makes a play. And he already has 20 tackles as a defensive tackle, and he's substituting in a rotation on the interior of this defensive line. This guy, we saw Ed Oliver last week from Houston. Another good true freshman D tackle. This guy's pretty good too.
He's kind of the only other guy that comes to mind as having this big of an impact on that side of the ball. Thomas keeps. Thomas finds a little opening, and that's a nice gain outside the 25 to the 28.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal athlete. Remember, he committed to play at Alabama as a DB. He's got tremendous quickness. This play looked like it was dead right out of the gate. But you just got to make things happen. You get the feeling that if Georgia Tech's going to come back in this game, Justin Thomas is going to have to be able to create and extend when things break down early, and he has the athleticism to do that.
Georgia Tech gave him the chance to be a quarterback, and that's why he came to Tech after committing to Alabama. He played defensive back for the Crimson Tide. Close to the first down. Tackle by Kendall Joseph.
Kind of had the feeling too, Dave. You see him, he's getting his guys fired up. He was really motivated to go in this game. You know, a lot of people have been talking about Deshaun Watson heading into this game, and here's a guy just 2 years ago. He led this team to an 11-win season, an Orange Bowl win over Mississippi State. It was Justin Thomas who was second team All ACC that year after Jameis Winston.
He was. He was the MVP of that Orange Bowl. Mississippi State's, that was Dak Prescott. They spent a lot of that year as the top-ranked team in the country. A pitch play going nowhere. Backwards by a yard. Dorian O'Daniel, who coming into tonight, Jesse, had his 2 career-high tackle games against Georgia Tech. He's working on another one tonight. He loves playing the triple option.
Yeah, apparently he spent a lot of time in it. You know, that's just amazing because there's so many new starters this year for this Clemson defense versus who was out there a year ago. And a lot of these guys, including O'Daniel, they've not gotten a lot of reps against this option attack. It was one reason I think Brent Venables, their D coordinator, was very concerned. But you're right, he looks like he's been playing against this scheme of offense his whole life.
2nd and 11. They pitch it out to Mills. Hit that hole very quickly. Flag thrown out into the open. Mills trying to cut it back inside the 30. And we'll see if it's all coming back.
Holding. Offense. Number 71. 10-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Finally, something to be excited about, and then that.
Yeah, it's big Shamir Devine, and he's basically on this play going to tackle Richard Yergin. Look at 71. He's at the top of your screen. You're going to see him going up against number 49. He kind of gets beat and then just wraps him up, brings him to the ground. And right when it seemed that really first big explosive play for Georgia Tech, and the holding call brings it back, and big fella coming out.
Yeah, he's clearly, we saw him go off the field in the first half. He's clearly not 100%. And by committing that penalty, he may have sprung the play. That was a penalty that I think did impact that big game. Let's go downstairs to Laura.
Shamir Devine obviously playing through injury, guys. It's the right ankle, and they tried to ice it during halftime. They've taped it up and wrapped it, but he's struggling down here in a lot of pain.
So the huge gain negated. 2nd and 19, and they'll pitch it out with room out in front. Cut back across the 30, so they get the penalty yardage back. Clinton Lynch.
Yeah, that time they get a good block on the perimeter. It was J.J. Green, number 28, that was able to kick out a defender. Watch right here, 28. He's going to kind of go outside wide, and he's got to take on that defender and kind of push him out. And the defender kind of gave himself up. There's explosive plays to be had in this offense. There's long runs. There's a lot of football left in this game. Don't go to sleep on the Yellow Jackets just yet.
3rd and 8. Thomas, little fake, and here comes the pressure. Goes down immediately. It's number 6 again. What a night for Dorian O'Daniel.
Georgia Tech tried to get their fullback or B-back Dedrick Mills in pass protection against O'Daniel, and it was a no matchup right here trying to block this. There's just too much speed and athleticism off the outside. He was late getting there, didn't locate him early enough. That's just too easy. Clemson has been living in Georgia Tech's backfield all night.
Justin Thomas has had no time to operate. None.
Here's an issue now, too. If you're Georgia Tech, you're punting to one of the most dangerous return men in the country, and Ray McLeod. 2nd in the nation, averaging 25 yards per return.
There's one way to help against that. Fair catch. Sends us to a timeout. The Clemson defense. Who else has figured out the triple option like these guys? This is 2 years in a row. They have shut Georgia Tech down, dominating this one. AT&T brings us tonight's Inside Access. We took a look early before the game started. The all-in bucket, a tradition started by Dabo Swinney, and they've done it home and away every game since Coach Swinney became the head coach. And there are very few higher energy head coaches in college football than this guy. And his quarterback is listening very attentively.
He's looking at the sky cam. Giving his boys a shout out.
I guess when you play like this, you can look up at the camera. First down pass play. Artavis Scott with a nice game.
Yeah, pedal to the metal right now for Dabo Swinney in this offense. Deshaun Watson's got his guys really quickly lined right back up on the line of scrimmage, trying to pick up where they left off, keep that tempo going.
Wayne Gallman gets the carry, nowhere to go. And he stopped well short of the first down.
He's a guy that gets better as the game goes on. The more carries you give him, he seems to get stronger running the football. And with this kind of lead here in the second half, it wouldn't shock me if Clemson starts turning to number 9 a little bit more often.
Still pretty modest numbers overall for the year for the guy who set the all-time single-season rushing record in Clemson history last season. That one was not a great pass, incomplete. Looked like to me he threw it a little behind Artavis Scott.
Yeah, he did. He had him on a slant route open, and I think the one criticism you'd say, I guess, with Deshaun Watson, and we've seen it a little bit this year, is just the consistent accuracy. I mean, he's got the ability to make the wow throws, but there's a lot of times where, you know, he's a good enough player when a throw's that open, he's got to put it on him. And we've even seen it tonight a couple times.
Well, nice stop by the Georgia Tech defense, maybe with a little help. Teased all to Stewart, who's back around the 20. Booming punt inside the 10, taken by Stewart, brings it upfield, made one man miss, made a second miss, and gets out to the 25-yard line. Well,
tonight, Clemson's defense, Dave, sorry, they've been lights out here with their assignment football. It starts with stopping the dive. The D tackles inside are winning one-on-ones. Everybody playing good, solid assignments. How many plays have we seen Dorian O'Daniel make outside tonight in that regard to the quarterback keeping it? And then you need physical play on the boundary and beating those blocks by the A-backs. I mean, it's just, you could put this on a reel. If you're Brent Venables, you're right. The last 2 years, what they've been able to do against this option attack, you can send that out to high school coaches around the country, how to stop the option. There's some good looks.
It is. There's no other team that in recent history has been able to do what they've done. Figure it out and stop it like they have. Thomas kept it and got swarmed. And maybe part of it is scheme, part of it the intensity of that guy.
Yeah, you got to have some dudes also, but you got to give them a lot of credit, man. Because listen, this was a short week. It's hard to get ready for this offense if you have a month for a bowl game. He did it in a short week. He's obviously coached up the assignments to a lot of guys that have never played against this offense. Remember, they had to replace 8 starters at the start of the year. It's amazing what he's been able to do. Year after year, he was replacing all these starters, and they still play excellent when they play against the Yellow Jackets.
And he schemes the defense. Thomas goes down to the backfield, and that makes the coordinator happy. He also runs scout team quarterback. I mean, he literally is the quarterback when they scout against Georgia Tech.
And I think it actually makes sense because he knows the scout team quarterback's not going to be able to read it the way he can. He's watched this offense so much more on film. He understands it. Plus, he's able to go at a really fast tempo and get everybody set up. When you're on a short week for this kind of game, that's a huge advantage. You need to get as many reps in as you can. Brent Venables, again, doing a fantastic job.
3rd and 12. I mean, they are replacing a lot of experience from last year on the defensive side. And the secondary up front. That was movement in the middle of the line. Scott Pagano, was he drawn?
Offside. Defense. Number 56. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
You see Brent Venables up there in that top right corner. He's got a get-back coach. You know, one of those guys that makes sure you're behind the sideline, because Brent Venables will get excited and he'll run 3, 4 yards out there trying to get it communicated. See that guy behind him? Look at him. He's telling his assistant to get back. He's going to have to go get Venables here in a second.
Get back, coach.
There you go. Get back. There you go. No, get off me. I'm good.
Totally necessary. Thomas looking to throw, pressured, and he just throws it away. Took another hit. Dorian O'Daniel with the pressure.
He's just had nowhere to go with the football. I think that time you have to give Clemson secondary the credit because there was just no one open for Justin Thomas to find. It's hard for him at 5'11" to see the field from the pocket, but again, there's just free orange jerseys running right at him, and Justin Thomas is tough. He's taking a beating tonight. Dorian O'Daniel having a night.
And you would understand if Justin Thomas started to get a little frustrated. Low punt. McLeod has a chance for a return. Showing off the moves that have made him so dangerous. But ultimately he goes down. Not many coaches in college football quite like Brent Venables, huh?
No, he's must-watch TV. He comes with his own get-back coach, but he also comes with great defense. His unit looks good tonight.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Dr. Pepper. It's a college football tradition. And the redesigned 2017 Kia Forte.
Well, I don't have to tell Jesse, but at this great academic school over the engineering department, a lab, they recreate UV lights from the sun to study air pollution, smog, its effects on human health and the environment.
What was your major at Stanford?
My major?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't go near the engineering lab. You really want to know?
Yeah.
I was an ancient Greek language major.
I would never have guessed that.
Use it every day, Jesse.
I was going to say.
Just total
How
practical
useful
education.
is that? Who paid for your education?
Mom and Dad.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Paid off?
Paid off.
Yeah, I think you're doing okay now.
I veered away from the academic course.
Yeah.
Watson, that sprint left, and you said it early in the game. He throws so accurately on the move to both sides.
Yeah, he really does, and it gives, I think, defensive coordinators issues too, because a right-handed quarterback, more often than not, you want to force him to run to the left because generally your accuracy goes way down. That's not necessarily the case with number 4.
Having a much more Deshaun Watson kind of night, stumbling ahead. Wayne Gallman gets a couple yards. The running game has been better. It's probably still not been exactly what Clemson needs it if they're going to get where they need to go.
And probably it's not where it needs to be if they're going to have success running against Louisville. I know we talk a lot about Louisville and Lamar Jackson, and we'll talk about this more later, but Louisville's defense has been lights out as well.
They stuffed Dalvin Cook. That crosser is caught, and Scott trying to bounce it to the outside, got pushed back. Now this will depend on where they spot it, and they're spotting him back short of the first down. I think he had it, and then Lawrence Austin pushed him backwards.
Yeah, you always hear receiver coaches telling their guys, just get what you can get upfield, get north, and Artavis Scott's got a lot of wiggle, and he's made a lot of people miss in his career. This is one of those scenarios on a third down, just you already got the first, go down, let's keep playing.
Well, they're going for it. And I don't blame them. 4th and 1. Just about everything going right. Now timeout.
Timeout. Clemson.
So
Their first
Clemson
timeout of the
going
half.
for it on 4th down. When we come
timeout.
back to Atlanta, leading 23-0. During the timeout, Clemson decided not to go for it. They're going to punt the ball away. Any chance we recreate the Orange Bowl? And
You got big Christian Wilkins out there, number 42.
he's got good hands.
I'm surprised they're punting as well as their defense is playing.
Me too. No fake. He's going to punt it end over end, and a fair catch at the 11, where Georgia Tech will have the ball. College football Saturday, and a big one for different reasons in the SEC. LSU at Auburn, that's at 6 Eastern right here on ESPN. And then Arkansas and Texas A&M. Is this the year that A&M takes a good start and carries it all the way to the finish? That one's at 9 Eastern from Dallas. There's some signs that maybe it will be.
Yeah, I mean, they got a lot of those playmakers, no doubt about it, in the perimeter on that offense that can make plays. And I've been impressed watching Trevor Knight, you know, kind of in a brand new system and how he's kind of picked that up and the success he's had early. But
he's not been perfect,
no.
but I think he's brought so much stability to that position, which was just chaos last year. Pitch play with a penalty flag thrown. A gain of 3, maybe 4 to Marcus Marshall.
I think Richard Jurgen was lined up offside again. That's the neutral zone.
Offside. Defense. Number 49. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Let's welcome in Laura once again. Laura?
Well, Dave, Justin Thomas has gotten very frustrated on the sideline, saying, I just need a little bit more time, and saying he can't see. Remember, he is 5'11", as you guys have mentioned, but definitely challenging that O-line. Paul Johnson also went back to the O-line and said, you guys have to block better.
I think a big key there, Laura, is they may have to start thinking about throwing the ball on first down when Clemson's anticipating the run. When Clemson doesn't have their ears pinned back on all these 3rd and long scenarios, Justin Thomas has had no shot.
1st and 5. He is going to throw. Backpedaling toward the goal line, looking for somewhere to go with the ball. Now throws on the run, incomplete.
And again, just better coverage in the back end by Clemson's defense. Really, they played phenomenal assignment football, not just in the front, stopping the run, but in the back end as well. Just kind of look at how many white jerseys you see kind of running out there, and it looked like at first there might be a receiver up here in the slot early. By the time that Justin Thomas started to flush out, there was nobody there and forced the throwaway.
A little more time, maybe that's a positive. We just heard from Laura about talking on the sideline about giving him a chance. And off to that fullback, and the tumble over the defender gets him at least a little closer to the first down, short by a couple of yards.
Well, I know Clemson's happy to get number 10, Ben Boulware, back on the field. He missed their last game against South Carolina State with an ankle injury, and this is a tough dude. He's a leader on defense. Last year, he was basically playing with one arm. How many big plays and big career interceptions has he come up with? He's a guy that blitzes well, and really, again, on what's an inexperienced defense, he's kind of the voice everybody turns to, and they're happy to get him back.
Yeah, he was their defensive MVP in that Orange Bowl, the college football semifinal, a dominant win against Oklahoma. 3rd and 2, a pitch play. First down and more for Georgia Tech, and that's one of their better plays of the night. Isaiah Willis took the pitch from Thomas.
Yeah, and the good block outside by Clinton Lynch, the A-back on the perimeter. Those pitches are normally the home runs in the option game. Those are the kind of plays that can pop and can break and get some momentum back on the sideline for Paul Johnson and Georgia Tech.
55 rushing yards, 52 total yards, with that negative pass yards in the game. We're nearing the end of the third quarter. That might have been a little bit of a missed assignment, but they get the positive yardage through the air anyway, complete to Ricky June.
Paul Johnson, interesting thing about him, he doesn't have a play sheet. He's kind of old school. He rotates these guys in and out, tells them to play in their ear. You know, the guy that's been coaching the game 32 years, he just sees it from the field, and he told us that he can tell what the defense is doing and how they're trying to stop him by who's making tackles. That's just how good he feels about his knowledge of what's going on.
Now that was a more positive play, so he kind of gave a gentle shove. When things aren't going as well, that push out to the huddle is a little more forceful. Now whistles blow, and a timeout Clemson. Coach Johnson wanted to snap the ball and go. Instead, a timeout in Atlanta, 23-0 Tigers. College football presented by Walmart. Penn State, Michigan, Saturday 3:30 Eastern from the Big House. Then Saturday night from the Rose Bowl, Stanford and UCLA, 8 Eastern on ABC.
How much fun is Jabril Peppers to watch for Michigan? I mean, and what position is he playing? Linebacker, nickel, corner, safety, receiver, running back, punt returner, kick returner.
He's returning kicks for touchdowns. He leads college football in tackles for loss. There's a nice gain out into the open field. Marcus Marshall near midfield. First down, Georgia Tech.
When they've run this play and they got Will Bryan, their left guard, pulling, they've had success now twice on this. Look at big number 70 getting out there. There's no one on the edge for Clemson to fill this, and that's probably been one of the adjustments that Paul Johnson's had most success with tonight.
Well, they've been better, not great, but better since halftime. Nearing a minute to go in the third quarter. Thomas. Handoff, Marshall. And some positive yards, even if it's only 3 or 4 on first down.
But it's the exact same play again, and that's one thing. It's replacing the inside dive play right now. They haven't had success on a standard triple option with the normal dive, so there's an adjustment by Paul Johnson. No play sheet. He's doing it from the field. He's just trying to find ways right now to generate 2 and 3, 4 yard gains on first down to get out of these 3rd and long scenarios.
Marshall, the fullback. A little misdirection there. The pitch for a gain out to the 46-yard line. Clinton Lynch. close to the first down.
Yeah, and so I think, we're at a point now where, again, you're in third and short scenario. Georgia Tech's going to go. And we've seen a couple wrinkles. That time, a little bit of a counter option where it looked like it was starting one way, peeled back and tried to outflank Clemson the other way. Clemson's looked really good defensively early in this game up to this point, but they can't let up now.
See if they get the play snapped before the end of the quarter. They do. That tough running straight ahead, close but short. Dexter Lawrence, the true freshman, makes the stop. And it'll be fourth down when we come back. I would imagine Tech's going to be going for it because they are playing from behind. On Thursday night in Atlanta, Clemson's defense has been awesome. 23-0 Tigers. You're watching the ACC on ESPN on this Thursday night in Atlanta as we start quarter number 4. The Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets were last shut out at home on November 30th, 1957. And they have not scored tonight going into the fourth quarter. They've got 4th and a yard just across midfield. Clemson might have jumped, and then Georgia Tech jumped. That has been a problem for Clemson.
Absolutely. That's one thing that for sure is going to drive Dabo Swinney crazy.
Offside, defense, number 94, 5-yard penalty, first down.
And so on a critical down on fourth down like that, you can't have it. But we've seen guys just line up in the neutral zone. You see 94 there, Watkins just gets a little bit of a jump. That's an easy call. It's the pre-snap penalties, the mental mistakes that drive coaches crazy.
Carlos Watkins, he's a good player. He's played well tonight, but that penalty gives Georgia Tech the first down without having to run the ball to get that yard. A yard has not been easy tonight. Thomas on first down to pass, steps up and throws deep, and intercepted. At the goal line, there is a penalty flag. The return for Marcus Edmond. He's shoved out of bounds short of the 20, so we'll see.
This is one of those plays where it's like pass interference on Edmond is going to be the call.
Clemson fans, and there are a lot of them here tonight.
Pass interference, defense, number 29, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Well, it's a good call because you'll see Edmond, he actually pushes Ricky June. Watch right here, there's a push in the back, shoves him away, and when I was watching that in real time, I'm wondering why June's not coming back and fighting for the football. Well, that's why. He kind of tried to do it sneaky. Kind of short-armed it, but that's a good call. That's a big play that Georgia Tech needed desperately. Let's just remember, this is still a 3-possession game.
For all the statistical dominance, the way Clemson dominated that first half, it's only 23-0.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like Clemson's up on this thing 50-0. That's not the case. Georgia Tech here knocking on the door.
Mills behind Thomas, so give it to Dedrick Mills. Some tough running for the true freshman down to the 20.
Yeah, and Georgia Tech's now without Shamir Devine, that big right guard, so they're playing a true freshman, Parker Braun, at right guard, and that time it was 75, the true freshman, that went out ahead and got a block for Dedrick Mills.
Devine looks lonely on the bench.
Yeah, and you see the size difference already. Braun's only 280 pounds, and that's a lot different facing off against Carlos Watkins, Dexter Lawrence, and Scott Pagano on the inside of this Clemson D-line.
Well, one thing about this system, they've not always needed the biggest, strongest physically offensive lines to succeed. There's a big hole to the 10, to the 5, and inside the 5, Dedrick Mills.
That time, Dorian O'Daniel, number 6, was not there to close the gap. You're going to get a slant block here. He comes outside, and there was a hole and a crease right through there. Number 6 going to step up field and runs right by where the dive was. One of the few times we've seen Dorian O'Daniel get out of position tonight.
And you've been making that point. You get out of position even one time, you give up a big play. First and goal to the end zone. Touchdown! Dedrick Mills, who had 3 of them last week. And that shutout streak will continue. Tech is on the board.
I really like this true freshman running back. Again, 5'10", 225 pounds, and he's got low pad level. He takes on 4 Clemson defenders here and pushes them all into the end zone.
Man, that is tough running.
That's an 18-year-old quote-unquote kid running like a man right there.
That makes you think he's going to get a lot of those touchdowns in his Tech career. Extra point up and good. And I tell you what, 13:21 on the clock. For as lopsided as this game has felt, this game is not over.
No, Georgia Tech, they just needed a little bit of momentum. Now it's incumbent upon the defense to make a stop. Give Justin Thomas another crack at it.
This college football season, stream every game live on the ESPN app and on Watch ESPN. Download the app or visit watchespn.com today. Every game. Including this one here from Atlanta, where Georgia Tech is trying to put some pressure on the Tigers. 23-7. Touchback. Clemson comes back on the field, and we'll go back to Laura.
Dave, Deshaun Watson has been on the sideline for quite some time now, and for the first time in this game, he had to throw some warm-up passes on the sideline just to get warmed back up. He even commented that he wasn't even sweating anymore. Dabo Swinney coming over to this offense, really challenging them and saying, guys, we've got to get a quick first down on this drive. We have to score fast. We cannot let them back in it.
Yeah, that's one of the big advantages of this option offense, Laura, is that they keep the ball and they don't give it back, and it's hard as an offense to stay in rhythm throughout the course of the game when you spend so much time on the sidelines.
Watson pitches it to Gallman. Gallman for a first down and a few extra yards on top of it.
I love the play call. It's been an uphill battle for Clemson trying to run between the tackles. The offensive line still hasn't quite been as physical as they need to be. So get outside. Use Gallman's speed on the perimeter of the field. It's a good play call there on first down.
They have rotated some bodies. They have a fairly inexperienced line anyway. Gallman, this time straight ahead.
Yeah, he is an angry, violent runner. And you see him right now here in the fourth quarter. We talked about he's a guy that gets stronger as the game goes on. Remember he had 30 carries week one against Auburn. They really put it on his shoulders. He only had 16 carries the last 2 weeks. You just kind of had the feeling he was chomping at the bit.
Play fake. Watson keeping it. Watson took a hit and got shoved out of bounds by A.J. Gray, a yard short of the first down.
Yeah, well, the thing I like about Watson on these run-pass options is that he's decisive. He doesn't see anything downfield. He's going for it. And that time there, he kind of dipped his shoulder into the defender a little bit, trying to dish out some punishment.
So good on third down of the first half. 3rd and 1. Play clock winding down. They only have one timeout left, and they have to use it. That's their final timeout. I think Clemson would hope that that doesn't become a factor here. But they're out of timeouts for the final 12:03. Tech looking for a big stop, down 23-7.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Buick, proud partner of the NCAA.
Well, it's been mostly Clemson tonight, but Georgia Tech pushing their way back in this game, and now it's 3rd and 1 for the Tigers. Out of the timeout. Watson. Fake, and Watson gets away, but not enough. Stopped short.
Deshaun Watson thought that safety A.J. Gray was crashing on the dive. And Gray, a safety with tremendous change of direction. Here's Gray here. He looks like he's crashing on the dive, so Watson thought he could beat him to the outside. Gray at the last second put his foot in the ground, was able to make the stop.
Ended up getting some help, but that's now a couple times here, their last 2 drives, where they have not converted.
Clemson has a big jumbo package on offense where they bring Christian Wilkins and Dexter Lawrence, 2 D linemen, and it's been successful for them early this year, but they've been apprehensive to use that here on these last short.
Officials timeout for an injury.
There is an injured Georgia Tech player, Lawrence Austin, down on the turf. I'm with you. That jumbo package with those 2 big defensive linemen has looked almost unstoppable.
Yeah, and again, with Clemson's inability tonight's game to kind of blow Georgia Tech off the line of scrimmage in the run game. It's made them apprehensive. I think, to me, really, if you were evaluating this offense to this point, I'd say that is still a glaring question mark moving forward for Clemson. But let's give Georgia Tech some credit as well. And their defense, how they've played here late, at least giving their offense an opportunity to get them back in this game.
Celebrating its 12th year, sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets, Allstate makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kick. Since 2005, Allstate has donated millions in scholarship funds. Well, that's an important point you make. I mean, the Tech defense has been better, and their offense has been better since halftime. Is trying to angle that punt. That was ugly. Fair catch at around the 16-yard line. And the last time they had the ball, it was really the simplest part of the triple option, the play they were having success on.
But I think Paul Johnson was able to make some adjustments and pulling offensive linemen to help these B-backs get into the second level of this Clemson defense. But it's been mostly all dives. And right now, to me, the best playmaker that Georgia Tech has outside of Justin Thomas is true freshman Dedrick Mills. And in Paul Johnson's offense, that B-back, he's not always taking dives. There's plays where they take the pitch. There's plays where they come out of the backfield and catch passes. It's a place, it's a player right there, 26, that could be big here in the fourth quarter.
And the point you make, not all dives are created equal. They're going to have him throw the ball downfield, intercepted. They tried to get fancy, and that was not a good pass. Van Smith picks it off, and Paul Johnson cannot believe it.
It's a big chance Paul Johnson takes, but I give a lot of credit to Van Smith for playing his assignment on the backside. 23 going to shoot over. He's able to come make this play. Now, it's an awful throw. There's better ways to throw the ball downfield than an aggressive play call by Paul Johnson, no doubt, but an even better play by Van Smith, who had a big pass interference call early in this game, and there's a critical turnover this defense needed.
Dedrick Mills, really impressive young runner, not an impressive quarterback.
No, he's not. There's other ways I think you can use him.
Clemson gets the ball. Gallman going backwards. That run defense for the Yellow Jackets. Ted Roof pumped up on the sidelines.
Yeah, Keyshawn Freeman, number 42, kind of made that play. He's a guy that this defense would love to have step up. Remember a couple of years ago, he was a freshman All-American. He put on 25 pounds, and just kind of been waiting for him to take the next step. He's got an opportunity, I think, to be a special player. Going to be an impact player right here.
Yeah, he looked like a superstar. He hadn't been healthy, but they need him to be a stud along the line. That pass is low. Yeah. Skips intended for Powell.
You just kind of wonder. It just seems like this offense has just kind of gone into chill mode. Put up a ton of yards in that first half. They were scoring points, looking good, and you see Deshaun Watson looking up in the sky cam in the middle of a huddle with Dabo Swinney. And where's the focus right now for Deshaun Watson in this Clemson offense? It looks as if they acted like this game was over a quarter ago. Right now, they're finding out it's a bigger dogfight than they anticipated.
3rd and 11. Showing some pressure. Here comes pressure. Watson going backwards. And he throws the ball downfield, incomplete. Intended for Powell.
And there's just a giant hole up the middle. They were trying to set up a screen to the tight end Jordan Leggett. Dabo Swinney's irate. He may have wanted a pass interference at the end of this, but trying to set up the screen to the right side. And that's where Patrick Gamble, P.J. Davis just ran right through, forcing the early throw.
I don't think there was a penalty here. I mean, there was a little contact.
Listen, again, it's been consistent for the most part tonight. Referees, when there's been hand fighting, they've been letting it go. I think it's a good no call.
Well, this one would tie a career high, 47 yards, and it is good. So Greg Hugel, they get the turnover, and they turn it into 3 points. I'm sure they would have hoped for a little more than that, but the field goal makes it 26-7 Clemson here in Atlanta against a team that's been tough on them, Jesse. I mean, Georgia Tech's won 5 straight home games against Clemson, a lot of good teams have come in here and not gotten out with a win. Dave Fleming, Jesse Palmer with you. Have we learned some stuff about Clemson tonight?
I still have question marks about the offensive line and their physicality, and in games where they have to run the football and have balance, I think that's a question mark. Certainly looking ahead to next week at Louisville. No problems with Deshaun Watson. He's fine to me, still playing at a high level. He's missed some throws here tonight. Defense has not been a problem for Clemson this year, last year, the year before that. They're going to give Clemson a chance to win every game they play. And I know looking ahead to next week against Louisville, we're going to spend a lot of time talking about Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson. We need to be talking about both defenses playing in that game as well. And Clemson right now, to me, is playing as well as any unit in the entire country.
I don't know if I'm breaking any news here, but game day is going to be there next week. They're in Knoxville tomorrow or Saturday. They will be in Clemson for that Louisville-Clemson matchup. Tigers just trying to make sure they take care of business here tonight. Again, they dominated in the first half. Second half has been different. Touchback. Georgia Tech gets the ball back. Well, you're talking about the Clemson defense, and I think it's a good point. They have their hands full against the guy on the left, Lamar Jackson.
And that's really in 5 games. That's since when he took over last year late in the season against Kentucky, playing 3 less games than Deshaun Watson. And look at the numbers he's put up. The amazing thing to me when you watch Lamar Jackson, he reminds me of Cam Newton and Michael Vick in the sense that he's by far the best athlete on the field. I'm not saying he's as good a quarterback right now, but he is on a different level from an athleticism standpoint. Florida State found that out the hard way last weekend.
And it's not easy to do against Florida State, a team that's loaded with athletes. Wide open receiver, pass caught by Stewart, and dances out right around midfield, just a yard into Clemson territory.
And there's a coverage bust finally. We talked about people being misaligned. There's nobody out in the slot covering Stewart, who's running the wheel. Got a lot of defenders with their eyes in the backfield. Number 18 at the bottom of the screen, Jadar Johnson. He's got to be up the boundary covering that play. We talked about when guys get out of position, Georgia Tech hits explosive plays. We found a little bit of life here in the fourth quarter.
Still 9:30 to go.
Same play.
About as hurry up as Georgia Tech gets. Back shoulder throw, and it was dropped. Ricky June had a chance to catch it. He got his hands on the ball.
Yeah, and that's one that he's got to come up with. You know, for years, Paul Johnson has had the Demarius Thomases, the Stephen Hills, the DeAndre Smelters, big receivers that could go up and win the 50-50 balls. And Ricky June at 6'3", 212 pounds, has to come down with that one. I do like Paul Johnson throwing the ball on first down. It's been a little bit less predictable. It looks like it's caught Clemson off guard here a little bit late.
Well, they don't get a lot of chances to make plays at the wide receiver spot in this offense, but it is interesting how many talented receivers they've had come through the program. Right side running, trying to pick his way forward. There just wasn't much there that time for J.J. Green.
Yeah, and you're seeing Paul Johnson now dig deep into the playbook and the adjustments, and we're seeing a lot of misdirection now where the play looks like it's starting one side and then linemen and A-backs are flying back the other way. They're trying to take advantage of the fast flow and speed that Clemson has defensively to see if they can get outflanked.
You know, we've talked about how he sends that player in with the play to the huddle. He also sometimes he'll call the play and tell the player, and this should be the guy that's open, or this should be the part of the play that works. Back to pass, pressured, Thomas goes down. Ryan Carter, defensive back, with the pressure and the sack.
Yeah, and Carlos Watkins, just a really smart pass rush here, which forced Justin Thomas to have to cut back. Anticipating the rollout. Here's 94. Watch him try to build the fence, anticipating the roll this way. He's lined up just outside the guard. You see that outside path he takes? That was really, really smart. That's a veteran move to force him back in, and there's Ryan Carter at cornerback on the blitz, able to clean it up.
He doesn't get credit for the sack, but it is a good example.
Yep.
He made the play. So that, after the promising start, the long gain in the pass game, and then the drop, which was so costly, ended that. Punt taken with a fair catch inside the 20. 7:48 to go, Jesse. You've been talking about this Clemson defense.
Yeah, no, they've been lights out again all night. Going to give them a chance looking ahead against Louisville, but all 3 facets impressive.
Well, the second half has been much different than the first, and particularly for that Clemson offense. Dabo Swinney has got some stuff to be a little cranky about.
Yeah, and I think right now he's going to need to see this offense finish.
Gallman gets the handoff on first down. The defense got another stop and gets the ball back.
It just kind of seems like they just kind of chilled out a little bit here in the second half. They had over 340 yards in the first half, put up great numbers. Now you'd like to see Deshaun Watson in this offense here kind of lock back in, put a nail in the coffin.
I think it would be understandable if you have a little bit of a letdown the way they pushed Georgia Tech around in the first half. Problem is, next up we know is going to be a supreme challenge. Watson looking to throw, pressured. On the run, Watson will get the first down and go out of bounds.
You know, I think that's a throw there that Deshaun Watson needed to trust. He had Mike Williams running a skinny post. But, you know, because they've not been on the same page earlier this game, you know, maybe you lose trust. But watch Williams here on the post. There was no safety help. And I think Williams kind of thought he was going to get that ball. Deshaun Watson just didn't feel confident enough pulling the trigger.
I think you're right, because I think when Watson was coming back to the line of scrimmage, he was tapping his chest saying, my bad, I should have thrown that one. I think he was unhappy.
Well, and you know, and that's a real thing. I mean, remember, Mike Williams missed the entire season last year because of that neck injury against Wofford. They just haven't had as many reps together as they would have liked. Chemistry between a quarterback and receiver is so critical, and we've seen a couple times this year early, again, them not being on the same page, which has led to a turnover. And their chemistry, it's going to evolve as the season goes on.
Not a huge game, but 6 catches, 61 yards, and that first touchdown. Ball to Ray McLeod, and he's been really impressive. So that combination, maybe you develop McLeod as kind of the second option, pair him up with Williams.
Yeah, which I think is awesome. And Mike Williams, to me, makes this offense so much more dangerous. Again, you're talking about a big guy, 6'3", 225. He can run by the cornerback. He can jump up over top of people and catch 50-50 balls. And that's just something they didn't have a year ago. It's going to stress defenses and defensive coordinators so much more this season, having Williams back for Watson. He's got a good look here. There's nobody deep for Georgia Tech.
Leggett went in motion. Watson looking in Williams' direction, incomplete. And it was not intended for Williams. It was Leggett, tight end.
And I think, you know, we talked about how Clemson struggled in the second half, but you got to give Georgia Tech defensively some credit too, because their guys have stepped up and made plays for defensive coordinator Ted Roof. It was a slow start early. Even though all the yards they've given up well over 400 by now, but you know, they've only given up 3 points here in the second half. Ted Roof's guys have fought hard.
You can see the improvement this year for Tech. They are going to be a better team. That went out to the freshman Cornell Powell.
That's a mistake by a young freshman receiver. You got to stay in bounds. Late in the game, you're trying to ice it. Remember, Wayne Gallman got an issue with that week 1 against Auburn. Got out of bounds, and he stayed in bounds. Auburn may have not had an opportunity to throw a Hail Mary late. Young freshman mistake. This guy's getting a lot of run. These are coaching moments. There's going to be a lot for Dabo Swinney and this coaching staff to give these kids.
Is that a good thing? You have a nice win like this. You come on the road, get a win in a place that's been tough, but you still have some stuff to talk about?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, I think, considering what's coming in to Memorial Stadium next weekend. You need these guys hungry, knowing they need to improve.
Watson throws the screen. Gallman across midfield, stopped short of the first down.
But that's a big story too. You know, I do think Clemson should be a confident team heading into that game. Their defense has been lights out all year. They should feel good. This offense, you know, it's not perfect. Great first half, a lot to build on. They should feel good too.
Well, the Clemson fans are hanging around for the final 4:29. It's been mostly all Tigers in this one. 26-7. They will have to punt the ball back to Georgia Tech. 4:29 to go. Fair catch at around the 15-yard line. Well, Saturday night on ESPN, back-to-back SEC games. LSU visits the Plains. LSU and Auburn. That one at 6 Eastern. Right here on ESPN. And then in Dallas, Arkansas and Texas A&M, 2 top 20 teams. Arkansas having a better start than last year. A&M having a similar start and trying to sustain it. We've seen some incredible defensive line play from Clemson. Christian McCaffrey against what is a good UCLA defensive line, improved. Maybe no defensive line better than Texas A&M's.
At least from a pass rush standpoint.
Thomas heaving it deep and knocked away, incomplete. Intended for Ricky June, Marcus Edmond.
Yeah, just one of the few times Justin Thomas has had a pocket and a clean pocket to throw from. Marcus Edmond, number 29 on the coverage. Nice job with the arm bar using the left hand to swat that away. That's good. It's a good no call. A little bit of contact, but I think for the most part in the secondary, the referees have done a good job being consistent, and this has been happening a lot for Justin Thomas. And that's the big true freshman, Dexter Lawrence. He's been doing that a lot himself.
Maybe next in line. He is a stud. Man. 2nd and 10. And off straight ahead.
You know, it's a great point you make about the next great one, maybe, Dexter Lawrence. This is a theme that's been going on with Brent Venables now these last couple of years. The second straight year, he had to replace 8 starters on defense. But it must be nice when you can replace NFL draft picks with future NFL draft picks. And I know this. I would rather be inexperienced but talented than experienced and average. And the good news for Brent Venables, he has a lot of young guys, but they have talent.
Super, super talented. And those 2 big young guys, and Wilkins is a sophomore, but Wilkins and Lawrence, that is a heck of a combo up front.
You know what's also great about this D-line is they've got depth finally. I mean, they can rotate 9 different guys up front and keep them fresh. It helps when you have true freshmen that see the field. And that was an issue they had a year ago. Shaq Lawson and Kevin Dodd, those guys were playing 90% of the snaps. And I think late in the year, when you watched them against South Carolina, UNC, Bama, they kind of wore down. They don't have the elite pass rushing ability this year they had last year from the defensive end position, but they've got more depth.
4th and 2, and Georgia Tech is going for it. Looks like a wishbone formation. Handoff, and that defensive line stands up again. He didn't get there.
No, guess who? And it was Dexter Lawrence that got the first penetration. Nobody blocked Christian Wilkins. Brent Venables just loves it. Dexter Lawrence, for a guy that's 340 pounds, has unbelievable quickness out of his stance. See him at the top of the screen. There's number 90. Kind of forces that a little bit further outside. And what a challenge for this D-line coming up against Lamar Jackson next week.
Whole different challenge.
No doubt. I mean, the amazing thing is the speed Lamar Jackson presents on the zone read plays. I'm watching the Florida State game, and there's times that Florida State defenders, they're in position to stop him. But he's just so much faster than everybody else. It's a great challenge for Clemson's D.
Watson is still in this game. A little flip fake and incomplete. He had a man.
You know, there's Lamar Jackson and the myriad of issues that he presents. Look right there. There's guys outside ready to take that play away, and Lamar Jackson just has the change of direction abilities. We've always known he was a great runner, but I think this year he's showing you how much improved he is as a passer. His understanding of timing in the offense, reading coverages, and he's become the true dual threat.
Out on the right side, caught by Cornell Powell.
You know, a play ago we saw Deshaun Watson miss another receiver that was wide open for a score. And I think moving forward with the amount that Clemson right now is struggling running the ball between the tackles, Deshaun Watson can't miss very much anymore. In a game against Louisville, if guys are wide open, you better hit it, because there's a good chance the other quarterback's probably going to be hitting them.
Yep. I'm with you. The Clemson defense has been so impressive. Their young talent's impressive, but you're not gonna shut down Louisville. I mean, they are going to put some points on the board the way Jackson is playing. You might slow them down more than Florida State did. You might contain them a little more. Under 2 minutes to go. 3rd and 6. And a little flip to Powell. Running right, dives forward, and I think he got there.
So let's give Dabo Swinney and Clemson credit. This was a big-time challenge. Short week, a lot of inexperience on defense to get ready for the option, and they played lights out. Offense did some good things in the first half. At the end of the day, putting a good plan together, and that's their 41st straight win against an unranked opponent. I mean, Clemson today beats the teams they're supposed to beat. Now the big question, can you take on a little surprise team in Louisville that snuck up on a lot of people?
Everybody had circled before the year their trip to Tallahassee later in the season. It could well be that a week from Saturday will end up being the big one. Straight ahead running Gallman. I mean, it's not an easy schedule that Clemson plays. They went on the road to Auburn, got a win in an SEC stadium already.
And this isn't going to be easy for Lamar Jackson either. Remember, Clemson's won 18 in a row at Memorial Stadium. You got Florida State right here on the road. The winner of that game has won the division since 2008. I keep your eye out on Pittsburgh, too, down here, November 12th at home. They got James Conner back. I think that's a pretty good team out of the Coastal.
Yeah. But let's say this. If they get through Louisville, I think even on the road in Tallahassee, they're going to be favored in every game, and a lot of times by a big margin. Under a minute to go, keeping the ball on the ground, Adam Choice. And it's not that they couldn't overcome it and still get back in the playoff picture if they don't win, but it's kind of the world we live in, and it's a good thing. Particularly inside one conference. Just a huge game. And this was a big one for them. They had not won here in more than a decade. But in Atlanta, Clemson finally gets a victory against Paul Johnson and company.
Yeah, you know, you take wins any way you can, obviously. And there's a lot of coaching up for Dabo Swinney to do. Got to clean up the penalties. They had too many today. They had 10. There was the miscommunication between Deshaun Watson and Mike Williams on a pick. Missed a field goal. You find those coaching points, but I think all in all, in all three facets, I think you're probably feeling as good as you felt all year for Clemson right before the biggest challenge they'll have this year.
A positive step forward. Now they need to take an even bigger step a week from Saturday. Clemson comes to Atlanta and beats Georgia Tech by the final score of 26-7 for Jesse Palmer. For Laura Rutledge, Dave Fleming saying so long. Clemson gets the win. Sports Center coming up next in 15 seconds.